demanding justice. Community members say the murder has left them fearful for their children's safety. With the suspects in custody, some local leaders have told EWN they are hopeful that more arrests will follow as the investigations continue. Ndogozo Khumalo, Eyewitness News.
The National Prosecuting Authority is set to begin the first part of its appeal in the case of acquitted televangelist Timothy Omotosho and his co-accused at the Eastern Cape High Court this morning. Omotosho was acquitted on 32 charges, including rape and human trafficking, in April this year. Public outcry followed his release, with criticism of the NPA's failure to prosecute the high-profile case. Some political parties also called for the removal of NPA head Shamila Batoy. Jabli Lembata has more.
In May this year, the NPA announced plans to appeal the acquittal, stating that there are reasonable prospects of a successful appeal. The first step in the appeal process is to request for the judge to clarify factual findings, following which the NPA's legal team will file the application with the Registrar of the High Court. This will happen parallel to the NPA's own internal investigation, looking into the team of prosecutors who formed part of the first team on the matter and how they conducted themselves.
We take the view that it will be appropriate and in order for the Honorable Judge to provide such clarification before the state can identify and request her to reserve those questions of law.
NPA National Spokesperson Mchunu Omotosho left for Nigeria in May this year and was barred from returning to South Africa by Home Affairs, declaring him a prohibited person for the next 5 years. Jabuli Limbata, Eyewitness News.
The presidency has defended President Cyril Ramaphosa's decision to establish a commission of inquiry looking into allegations of corruption within law enforcement. Spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says Ramaphosa had no other option because the South African Police Service is not able to conduct an investigation into itself. The commission has been established to probe damning allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi claims there is a corruption syndicate within the country's law enforcement agencies. Magwenya says placing Police Minister Senzo Mchunu on special leave is to ensure the Commission works without interference.
The President has some room here to determine the status of ministers. What guided him was that in the process of the inquiry, with Minister Mchunu being the implicated party, he cannot be in the position running the ministry and providing the mandated political oversight.
He adds that in the interim, Mchunu will have no access to cabinet clearance, including meeting minutes.
The new minister may very well need to bring his own staff, and it will only be fair for the new minister to be allowed to do so.
In the same breath, an independent policing analyst has partially welcomed the establishment of a judicial inquiry probing allegations of corruption in the police service. Johan Berger says it's disappointing that the country has yet another commission of inquiry, but at least something is being done. He's been reacting to an announcement by President Ramaphosa last night on the establishment of the inquiry that comes a week after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made explosive claims of a crime syndicate within the police service. As a result, Ramaphosa placed Police Minister Mchunu on special leave, with Wits law professor Firoz Cachalia set to act in Mchunu's position. Berger says there are some encouraging aspects about the president's address.
The commission is, I think, authorized at least to start with the existing prima facie evidence which General Mkhwanazi referred to. So that's the encouraging thing, is that they will look at the prima facie evidence that exists, and that would, I think, include the 121 case dockets that were sent to the office of General Sibiya.
And Social Security Agency SASSA CEO Themba Matlo is set to brief the media this morning to dispel any misinformation around the beneficiary review process. SASSA has flagged 210,000 social grant beneficiaries suspected of not disclosing additional income truthfully. However, this review process that's meant to identify fraudulent beneficiaries is causing mayhem at SASSA offices countrywide as vulnerable people are forced to queue for days to verify their details. Last week, MPs slammed SASSA for undertaking the process when it's severely understaffed and for ineffective communication with beneficiaries who are now panicking, thinking they won't receive their grants. The National Treasury has put the agency on strict terms to root out the rot of face money transfers being frozen. Ntutuzela Nene reports.
Social Security Agency SASSA has reassured qualifying social grant beneficiaries that their grants have not been stopped or cancelled. SASSA says the beneficiary review process is to ensure that only qualifying recipients benefit. The agency further says the reviews are specifically focused on individuals whose undisclosed incomes are close to or exceed the means test threshold. SASSA adds that the review process is not a punitive measure to exclude deserving beneficiaries, but to ensure eligibility and prevent misuse of public funds. Beneficiaries who have been affected by the grants review are encouraged to visit their nearest SASSA office. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at $3,369.90 an ounce. The rand's at 17.91 to the dollar, at 24.10 to the pound, at 20.89 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $70.43 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident in Senton along Rivonia Road, right near Greyston Drive. It's causing heavy delays coming out of South Road. Please be on the lookout there. While travelling on the N1 North, this is between Malibongwe Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. Roadworks are taking place along this route and they are causing heavy delays. There's also queuing traffic along the M1 South between the Kilani Bends and Empire Road due to an accident.
A look at your weather. Clear skies in store for Gauteng today. Temperatures are set to reach highs between 20 and 22 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. A relative of 11-year-old Jaden Lee Meek is expected to appear in the Roodepoort Magistrates Court this morning in connection with the boy's murder.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Walk through history, walk with it. Sunday, 27 July, 7:02 Walk the Talk. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
9 minutes after 9 o'clock. Sanbonani, Dumelang, Bonjour. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Happy Monday. It's great to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're well this morning and that you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Hello to you if you're watching us on YouTube. Remember, you can go to the 702 YouTube page if you want to watch and listen to the Clement Manyathela Show at the same time. Are you satisfied with the action the president has taken last night? We had a family meeting last night and the president took action to deal with the explosive allegations of infiltration in the police. The Minister of Police has been placed on a leave of absence and a judicial commission of inquiry will be established to investigate the allegations relating to criminals infiltrating law enforcement, intelligence, the judiciary system and associated institutions within the criminal justice system. So, are you disappointed? Are you hopeful in this inquiry given how fatigued we are about commissions? Let me know your thoughts. 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 0727021702. At 10 o'clock, we are going to stay with this developing story and speak to the new incoming acting Minister of Police, Professor Firoz Cachalia. He was appointed by the president last night. So we'll speak to him about the kind of priorities he's looking at. And also, one of the questions I have is whether he's not worried about possibly being frustrated by the very same system he's trying to help take care of. Remember when who was that red tape cutter? The red tape cutter that the president Sipongosi, thank you. The red tape cutter the president appointed, Sipongosi. This is a man that he appointed to come and help cut the red tape. When I had him on the show, the chap was frustrated by the very same red tape he was meant to cut. So it does happen where you are brought in to fix a system that you are frustrated by the system, if it's too politicized, if there's just institutional frustration. I don't know how you are able to untangle that as an independent person, and I really, 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 really hope that Professor Cachalia will find some way and maneuver that when he starts in this post. So he's going to speak to us at 10 o'clock. We're also going to speak to a former Minister of Police. Remember Natin Tleko? He was the Minister of Police, and I just think it's great to have people who've been in these positions before to come and tell us, in their experience, what did they experience in as far as criminal syndicates and their ability to infiltrate the SAPS is concerned. So I'm interested on his knowledge of political interference and criminal infiltration in the police as a former minister. And I thought maybe that experience may help. So he's going to join us also at 10. 10:30, we're going to continue with the series that we started last week, where we look at successful land restitution cases. As I've said to you, we need to understand our history in as far as land dispossession is concerned, and we need to understand the resilience and fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land, that ultimately got their land back and transformed it into a source of pride and empowerment. And I know that we often criticize government for the slow land restitution program, but that doesn't mean that there are no pockets of success. And it's through this feature that I want us to highlight those pockets of success. So today, we're going to be looking at the Double Drift community land claim. I mean, a century after being forcefully removed from their ancestral land under the 1913 Natives Land Act, the Double Drift community in the Eastern Cape reclaimed their land that was initially taken to make way for a game reserve. So the community members had a chance to either take the money or receive another piece of land or keep the existing land. And they chose the latter because they wanted to ensure growth and sustainability in the area. So they'll talk to us about their journey to reclaiming their ancestral land and how have they used that to develop and empower the community. That's what's coming up at 10:30. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Family Matters feature. Today, we're discussing coping mechanisms. Do you know the difference between healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms? Whatever you're going through, we all have some kind of coping mechanism, right? Can be a key to getting through tough times because that can help us tolerate, minimize, or even deal with stressful situations in life, right? But sometimes there are unhealthy coping mechanisms. So how do we break those and how do we build and cultivate healthy coping mechanisms? That's a conversation we're going to have on our Family Matters feature at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Clemmy, more man. Floris is so fun. The Western Cape. Clemmy, short and sweet family meeting. Yeah, it's good that Senzo has been put on special leave. However, the commission, how much is it going to cost us? And how long is this going to take? And will anything tangible come from it? And what about the speaker who said the relevant portfolio committees should investigate this whole saga? So are we duplicating or what? Have a good show, bye-bye.
A very good morning to you, Clement, and everyone who's listening. Well, in response to your topic about last night's president briefing, I didn't expect him to fire the minister, because you can't fire a person based on unproven allegation where your colleague or your subordinate or anyone else accuses you of something, then you pull the trigger. But my concern is he should have also suspended the Deputy National Commissioner, General Shadrack Sibiya, because on that briefing of General Mchunu, Sibiya's name and Mchunu's names are on the forefront. Another thing I blame the president on, the 3 to 6 months inquiry is too long. South Africans are fatigued, are tired. At least if it was a month. Bye.
Yeah, I hear you, but remember the president doesn't have that power to be suspending deputy commissioners, or that's actually the commissioner of the SAPS who has that responsibility. So the president is only limited here through the members of the executive who is the person who provides political oversight over the SAPS? That's the Minister of Police. That's the person who gets appointed by the president. And that's the person that the president can take action against, well, in this context, given the implicated people. All right, so I'm going to come back to more of your WhatsApp voice notes and calls. Let's just look at what the president announced last night, because there's some thoughts I want to give you, and I'm interested if you agree or disagree, but I'm interested in your own thoughts about what happened yesterday. First of all, I don't know about you, but I found the president to lack authority last night. Authority that's needed in a time like this, where there's infighting in the police. I think I would have loved the president to be stern, and maybe he was tired, but I think this situation required a disciplinarian, someone who says, I will not tolerate you guys in the top SAPS echelons fighting each other like that and compromising national security in the process. So when I was watching it, I thought, please, can have authority. Tell these guys that they mustn't be fighting like that and compromising our security. I felt he was so soft, and we have seen him like that where he becomes stern. Remember with the July unrest, when he called that meeting and he addressed the nation? That's the kind of authority I was hoping for. Because as I've said before, there are people who are going to throw allegations at each other because they are fighting each other, but we are the ones as the grass that ends up being affected. The second thing for me is, I know that there are some concerns raised about the Judicial Commission of Inquiry, given how fatigued we are. But how else could the president have dealt with this? I don't think there's any other option for the president. How do you get to the bottom of the allegations made except through an inquiry? Because you can't ask the same seemingly politicized and compromised SAPS to investigate, can you? In fact, I think judicial transparency has a shot at restoring public trust. The problem is not so much these judicial commissions of inquiries. The problem is the government that never wants to implement the recommendations that it does not agree with. And we have a number of examples that we can mention. And I think that's where the challenge is. But I think what sort of satisfied me was that the president said the final report will be sent to the Speaker of Parliament and the Chief Justice, which I think means that they also bear some responsibility for implementation as well. And that responsibility doesn't solely sit with the president. And I think for me that's an important thing, that this is not just a report that is just sent to the president. This is a report, final report, that's going to be sent to the Chief Justice. It's going to be sent to the Speaker of Parliament. And I think that is going to help with making sure that they push for implementation, especially on their front, and that responsibility doesn't solely sit with the president. Now, there are two issues here that I think will be quite central to this inquiry. You've got the political killings task team and its disbandment and its operations. And as far as its disbandment are concerned, I can tell you now, I don't think the police minister has a case here. I don't, because I've tried very hard to ask questions about net joint. Was this decision taken by the minister, or was it the decision taken by net joint? Was it a cabinet decision? Was the president consulted, for instance, before this decision is taken? And even in the opportunities that I had to interview some ministers who are part of net joints, they didn't even want to touch on that, which to me suggests that maybe the minister took a unilateral decision here without consulting with anyone. And I think that's going to be his biggest mistake. I don't think he's going to be able to explain why he took the decision to disband the political task team, even if he had reason to believe that that task team was becoming a law unto itself, or maybe he's got evidence to demonstrate that there was mismanagement of funds, or they were overseeing killings, whatever the evidence or allegations they may have. The point is, when you took the decision to disband it, who did you consult with? Did the police commissioner agree with you? Was net joint consulted? Was the president consulted? And I think that's going to be the police minister's biggest problem there. And then you've got the issue of the operations of this task team. You've got the issue of the criminals or business people having influence on top SAPS officials and then doing their bidding, and the issue of investigations that have been suppressed. Now, here's a tricky part for the inquiry. Who do they decide to suspend out of those that are implicated? Because the president said, where appropriate, the inquiry chair will make recommendations on the employment status of such individuals, whether they should be suspended pending the outcome of the investigation or not. The thing is, allegations and counter-allegations have been made here. Yes, primarily the inquiry will deal with the allegations made by General Mchunu, right? That's primarily what this inquiry will do. But he is not off the hook. The people that he has made allegations against are saying that they were implicated because they raised issues about General Mchunu even before the press conference. And these are issues that they say have been raised way before. And they believe that he held that press briefing because he was trying to preempt either an investigation of sorts or a possible arrest. We don't know that. Maybe they're just telling lies themselves to protect themselves. But if that's the case, those allegations also need to be tested. If they make those allegations under oath, if they make those allegations at this inquiry, they've got to be tested. Is IDEC investigating? Have they been investigating General Mchunu? And what are they investigating? Is IPID investigating the issue of extrajudicial killings? And what's the basis of that investigation? Is it trumped up charges or not? So these are the questions that the inquiry will need to test. But are people going to be happy with the decision the inquiry takes? If the inquiry says, Shadrach Sibiya, just take some time off while we investigate. General Mchunu, take some time off while we investigate. Is that something you're going to be satisfied with? Or will you be able to justify that? Allow everybody to stay on their jobs while their issues are being investigated. And I'm not even going to touch on the so-called fears of an uprising. I think that's ridiculous. We live in a country where we're all equal before the law. And I'm going to make the same comment I made, which other people didn't like during the Jacob Zuma arrest. I said, hey, what was that term I used to use? I learned it from Tilasize Simelane. Tilasize Simelane, who has been studying law, by the way, used to say something, I learned it from him. And I used it when we were talking about the social unrest at the time and the instability. And I remember this, it was a Latin term, it's a legal principle. It says, fiat justitia ruat salam, which means let justice be done even though the heavens fall. And I used that term because I was trying to demonstrate at the time that we're not going to be held ransom here by a leader who says, oh, I've got public sympathy and therefore if you dare touch me, then watch what's going to happen. That must never be our approach. And similarly so, if you've got an independent inquiry that says, oh, we're going to test allegations that are made against Shadrach Sibiya, against the police minister, but we also want to test allegations against Mchunu, and experts are warning of, oh, there could be instability. What exactly do you expect law enforcement or the inquiry to do? Stop back and say, oh my God, we're so scared of the protests. Let's not. Even when they think there are allegations they want to test? What country would we be living in if that's the approach that an independent inquiry takes, where their work is frustrated and hindered by some warnings of if you dare touch this person? So if Clement becomes a very dangerous criminal one day, or Clement has accusations against him, but he's got such public sympathy and public support where people are threatening to go and protest to protect Clement against anything, should the law enforcement agencies not touch me? Because the very basis of it is either they think I've got allegations that need to be tested or not. If not, then don't touch it. If I do, you've got to test those allegations, whether my supporters are going to be happy with that or not. And I wonder what's going to be the approach of this inquiry in that regard. Whoever made the claims has to bring evidence. I mean, Shadrach Sibiya claims that General Khumalo didn't want to arrest AKA killers. The question is, why is Shadrach Sibiya mentioning those allegations now when General Mchunu has made claims against him? Unless he's going to tell us at that inquiry that he has already complained about that before. Because otherwise, then you're seen to be reacting. And General Sibiya must be able to come to that inquiry and give evidence and say, here's the evidence to show you that Mkhwanazi didn't want to arrest the AKA murderers, and this is why. Equally so, General Mkhwanazi made a serious claim. I mean, some of the claims he's managed to sort of prove in a way through the text messages to just show the link between the criminals or people who are outside the SAPS with those that are in the top echelons of the police. I mean, that is so as clear as mud, and action is going to be taken there. But here's the tricky part. General Mkhwanazi himself has made claims against the judiciary. Where's the evidence of that? The judiciary released a statement last week and said, hey, we're still waiting for you to come either give us evidence or lay a complaint with the judges that are implicated. Because you can't also make a claim like that about the infiltration in the judiciary, but you don't really have evidence in that. Because that's a dangerous claim to make. That speaks to the independence of such a crucial institution in our governance, in our constitutional democracy. So I'm looking forward to evidence at this inquiry. I would like to see Shadrack Sibiya bring the evidence he has against Mkhwanazi. I would like to see General Mkhwanazi bring evidence against the judiciary, because whoever judge or magistrate is that, or a prosecutor is that they know has been infiltrated and is compromising security, that person has to be fired. Action must be taken against that person. In fact, isn't that like treason? I know I'm pushing it there, but I'm trying to demonstrate that we must all be angry at the people in the judiciary or in the NPA who are working with criminals. And I can't wait for General Mkhwanazi to bring that evidence to support the claim that is made around the infiltration of the judiciary. What are your thoughts? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's 072-702-1702. Tsepo, in fact, let's start with you, MJ. You've been holding longer. You're calling from Pretoria. What do you think?
Hi, Clement. Hi, morning. Look, Clement, I think for me, the establishment of the commission is the ideal thing. But in this case, I think it was an easy way out, at least on the president's part. And here are my reasons.
Yeah.
Clement, let me take you back to Zondo Commission. During the Zondo Commission, we've had key witnesses and people who were holding top positions at some of the SOEs, who after they testified there, they were marginalized. Some of them actually were persecuted. Some of them were threatened. And these people struggled to get employment afterwards. Now, last week, we had the National Commissioner telling the nation that General Mkhwanazi has received threats and they are considering to reinforce his security. Now, I'm asking you and the rest of the people, who within the SAPS or let's say key witnesses will go and testify there, knowing that this particular commission involves the inquiry of dangerous people like drug cartels and stuff. And within the police service, Clement, already there are many people, according to what the South African Police Union said, there were many people who were not happy about some senior police officers who were working with these drug cartels.
Yeah.
The only difference is these police officers were not in a similar position or brave enough to come forward because of what the risk involved.
Yes.
Number two, regarding the commission, Clement, this commission is going to drag law because, number one, the president said he expects the first preliminary report after 3 months and then the second preliminary report after 6 months, meaning this commission can even drag beyond the election or 2026. So my question is, already, Clement, there are already multiple processes. I mean, the Speaker of Parliament has tasked the committees to investigate this. The Public Protector has agreed to investigate this matter. General Mkhwanazi has opened a case against the police minister. The political parties, I think it's MK and EFF, they opened a political case. Now, there are multiple processes already. Which process is going to take the center stage, and how are these going to work at the same time? with regard to against the commission of inquiry.
All right, MJ, got you in Pretoria. Thank you for your contribution. I'm going to get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. When we come back, Tsepo, Kustas, I'll start with your calls and then we'll go to your WhatsApps. It's 9:31. Maki, here's the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Vleerhof community members have gathered outside the Roodepoort Magistrates Court this morning, where a relative of 11-year-old Jaden Lee Meek is expected to appear in connection with the boy's murder. The young boy was reported missing when he did not return home from school, and a widespread search ensued until his lifeless body was found outside his home in Vleerhof in May. Gauteng police made a breakthrough in the case last Friday with the arrest of the 31-year-old suspect. Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police is set to meet this week to deliberate on President Cyril Ramaphosa's announcement for the establishment of a judicial commission into allegations of corruption and collusion in the police service. Last night, President Cyril Ramaphosa made a public statement from the Union Buildings in Pretoria, addressing serious allegations into an organized criminal network in Gauteng involving senior police officials and members of the judicial cluster. This comes a week after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Clement Manyathela exposed the alleged criminal network in Gauteng during a briefing, implicating Police Minister Mchunu and Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya. And Johannesburg residents are urged to prepare for up to 4 days of water disruptions that will see taps in some areas either run dry or experience low water pressure. Parts of the city are expected to be without running water due to Rand Water's planned maintenance on its O2 pipeline that will be conducted from tomorrow until Friday. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 10 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling in Boksburg, we've got a major accident scene reported on the N12 East. It happened just before Tom Jones Street. It's causing heavy traffic volumes from Atlas Road. About a 20-minute hold up there. Please try to avoid, if you're heading towards areas like Benoni, try using the N17 East instead. While traveling on the N12 West towards the Kilulis turn off, some delays between the Edenville Road exit and the Kilulis interchange. Heading towards Fourways, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is between the Malibongwe Drive exit and the Winnie Mandela Drive. That's due to the roadworks that are taking place along this route. Please approach with care. And if you're traveling out of Nichirina, do expect some delays on the N1 North towards the Golden Highway. That's due to an accident reported there, and it's causing about a 15-minute hold-up. I'll have more updates for you, but if you see anything else on the roads, please do share those reports with us. We're on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Is there a wish that the South African Policing Union has in as far as the Deputy National Commissioner is concerned? And what of the Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi? What should happen to him?
No, like we are saying, the day-to-day running of SAPS, the National Commissioner is responsible for it. I think now the President, we asked the President to intervene after the expose last week Sunday, and now we've seen the President has intervened.
Seba Tobachale, the national spokesperson for the South African Policing Union.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Mom, Dad, you're not gonna believe this.
What's up, bud?
Luke's family has a kitchen.
Okay.
Like a real one, with knives and a sink for dishes. His mom was just standing there, making food with her hands. There was a fridge full of vegetables, even broccoli.
Not broccoli.
Oh, the horror. Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
Smart Steve from Momentum. Hello.
Hey, Smart Steve. Amir here. Listen, man, I got a problem, right?
Okay.
My little princess is turning 18, and now she's got a license and a boyfriend. And you know what these roads and young boys are like at night. Y'all check.
So you're worried about her safety. Just add it to the Momentum app so she can access help 24/7 with Momentum Safety Alert.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry? Listen, man, Steve. Does my Momentum car insurance give me that?
For sure. Once she's added, she can get help at the touch of a button, no matter whose car she's in.
Free? Mahala? For all that and all?
Yes, for free. Your peace of mind and her safety at no cost.
Oh, Steve, one last thing. Does it come with a boyfriend ejector seat?
Not yet, but I'll mention it to the team. Visit momentum.co.za to get a quote. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer and FSP. Standard SMS rates and T's and C's apply. FSP 22789.
In Africa, we say the chameleon looks in all directions before moving. At Plus 94 Research, we understand the importance of careful consideration. By analyzing comprehensive data and diverse perspectives, we help you make informed decisions that stand the test of time. Don't leap without looking. Move forward with insight and precision. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision making.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, Mike Ratcliffe, the co-founder and owner of Villa Fonte and founder and chair of the Wine Business Advisors, joins us as our How I Make My Money guest. He'll speak about his journey as a winemaker. Bronwyn Williams, trend translator and future finance specialist at Flux Trends, will take you through the latest business book you should be reading and all of the top business stories of the day.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's continue with your calls to get your thoughts on what the president announced yesterday. Are you satisfied with that action? I've given you my thoughts. What do you think? By the way, I've just checked with the SAPS again because, since last week, there's been this conversation that, General Mkhwanazi has opened a case against the police minister. And I've tried to say last week that as far as I'm aware, because I've checked with the police, there's no case that's been opened. We've just checked with the police again now. They're still not aware of any case that has been opened by General Mkhwanazi against the police minister. I'm not sure why. So if there is, I think it's Mkhwanazi who said, I will open a case. I think he may have indicated that he will open a case against the police minister as opposed to there is a case already opened. I may be wrong. Please remind me of what he said when he spoke about a case and a police minister. But I wanted to give you that update, but that the SAPS are telling us that they have checked and there's still no case that has been opened against the police minister. Tsepo, you're calling us from Pretoria. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clement.
Sure.
Yes, the question is, what else could have the president done last night except, establishing a commission? We understand that people are tired of commission of inquiries being established, but there's no results. But there's nothing else that the president could have, done except establishing the commission, simply because the allegation that the Commissioner Mkhwanazi, brought last week involved a number of people. So you cannot expect then the police to have established internal processes to investigate those allegations. The Commission of Inquiries, it was the only route the president had an option to take. And, having said that, Clement, I think there are a number of people that have been involved in this case. It could have, massacred lots of issues that have been brought by General Mkhwanazi. Thank you, Clement.
Thank you for your thoughts. Tsepo in Pretoria, I agree with that. I think the president had no choice. I mean, what would you have liked? That he takes the allegations back to the SAPS, the same SAPS that's seemingly compromised and politicized? Who else is better positioned here? I think the judiciary still enjoys some level of public support. We still see it as independent. And that's why I think judicial transparency has a shot at restoring public confidence here, has a shot at least ensuring or at least just guaranteeing to us that they're going to get to the bottom of this. The problem has never been the inquiries. The problem has always been the government that sometimes doesn't want to implement what it doesn't agree with in the recommendations of the inquiry. And we must then put pressure on the government, which is why I said I'm happy now that I see that the president said last night, this report, final report, will be sent to the speaker. It will also be sent to the Chief Justice, which then for me says the burden of responsibility doesn't just rest or lie with the president. There are other stakeholders or institutions here that can also start their process of implementation. And I think it will be weird for like these other stakeholders to start implementing this thing and the president is not doing anything. So I think that provides a layer of protection for all of us that are concerned about the lack of implementation here. Kustas, you're calling from Midrand. Good morning.
Yeah, morning. Clement, let's not excuse my president who only does the bare minimum in his job. What he just announced is a bare minimum. That is not the best that he could do. You know, the best that one could do, in a Clement, if me and you were to be in that position, first and foremost, we'll make sure that the dockets are secured. We'll actually tell the nation we're aware of the dockets. Masamula must secure those dockets. And two, Mkhonazi must continue with his work. You can't have a president who does the bare minimum. And we think that's enough. It can't be enough. Why is he excluding the metropolis of Cape Town? When the drug dealers are killing each other, I mean, that place is probably the highest rate of death matters in the country. And then he excludes the metropolis of that side. So I'm suggesting that he only gives the bare minimum, not the best. This bare minimum is not something that we should appreciate. I'm very frustrated with him, Marshall. Clement, why did I call? I called you, Clement, because you said along the way Mkhonazi must be suspended. I think you were suggesting that when the commission comes, Sibiya must be suspended and Mkhonazi. Clement, we can not accept Mkhonazi's suspension. It's a red line. Mkhonazi is holding fort, Clement, as a beacon of hope within the SAPS to the men in blue who are fighting against determined drug dealers and politicians in cahoots with the drug dealers. The Durban port, by the way, Clement, must be secured at all costs. If you remove Mkhonazi out of KZN, you know what you're doing? You are giving a blanket check to all the criminals who were absolutely under pressure from his work to say, free for all, open up all the doors, do whatever you want, because there is no other man as him.
Yeah.
So all the seniors, all the people that have faith in SAPS, don't have faith on anyone else except Mkhonazi. So he can't be suspended. Suspension for him means a red line for all of us. We cannot accept that. So I'm suggesting when I claim the president should have gone even more. Where are the dockets right now? There are 5 of them that need to prosecution. Why could you not say that I'm going to appoint a minister who's going to make sure that the prosecution is driven through? Masamula must not stop with those investigations from the political terrorist team. They must continue. That's what you say as the president, so that the wheels of justice keeps moving.
Yeah.
So that right now everything seems to be grounding to a halt. Guess who wins, Clement? It's not the people of South Africa, it's the criminal. Your comment.
Absolutely. And I agree with most of the things you're saying there, Kustas. Also, the president doesn't get involved in the operations of the SAPS. So you can't be talking about let's transfer this docket here and there. I think the president still has the confidence of Fani Masemula, who, by the way, is not really an implicated party here in as far as the allegations against Mkhonazi are concerned. So maybe the president, I know that the president has met with all of them, the implicated parties. He met with Mkhonazi, he met with Masemula, he met with the Minister of Police, Shadrack Sibiya, I imagine. And maybe he's got confidence that, and he's asked Masemula to make sure that those dockets are not compromised. So I'm not saying that Nhlanhla Mkhonazi needs to be suspended. I'm looking forward to how the inquiry is going to maneuver that. I do think that if we're saying that every allegation has to be tested, it's going to be weird to say we only test Mkhonazi's allegations and not the allegations by Shadrack Sibiya or the allegations against the police minister. Because I bet you when they get there at the Commission of Inquiry, they have got their concerns. They have got their own allegations against Mkhonazi, some of which may have happened before Sunday. Are you suggesting that those must not be tested?
I'm suggesting that Sibiya cannot be trusted. He broke protocol. He understands that his boss is not the minister, his boss is Fani Masemula. He went ahead and implemented a resolution, so to speak, an instruction from a minister that is outside of the protocol of the SAPS. So you cannot say a man who was defending himself on TV, and all of a sudden by smearing the other one, and then you take that seriously.
So here's a challenge with that, Kustas. Remember, there were certain people who were supporters of the former president, Jacob Zuma. And because they were supporters of the former president, Jacob Zuma, and some people tainted them as pro-state capture, when they raise legitimate issues, we can't operate on the matter of, oh, these people were pro-Zuma, pro-state capture, therefore they can't be trusted. We've had cases like that, by the way, even in the police committees, in some of the committees in parliament, where you've got members of parliament who were pro-Zuma, wire. And when they were trying to raise legitimate concerns, there was a campaign in the media by some people that, no, those people must not be taken seriously because they can't be trusted. I have a problem with that viewpoint, Gustas. Because what you are suggesting then is that, Mkhwanazi has made these allegations. And because Shadrack Sibiya has, which I agree with you, that there was clearly here a breaking of protocol. Because if the National Police Commissioner doesn't have a signature on a letter that disbands the task team, then who did you talk to? So I agree there. And he better be held accountable for that. But because he comes back and says, but I've raised issues that this person has never wanted to arrest, aka murderers, why would you operate on the basis of, well, he can't be trusted?
Well, Clement, I think before we make this a dialogue, a point of concern to me is that General Sibiya has not raised these issues like General Mkhwana is. So in short, then you put it this way: he's on the back foot, he's on the defensive, he has done wrong, he's implicated. What is the best way to react to that? Is to implicate the other guy in return. So, but for now, let's just, as you rightly pointed out, I agree with you as well. Let's wait and see. But
do you know that General Sibiya may say to the inquiry that I have raised issues about the failure to arrest aka murderers even before that briefing on Sunday? Do you understand that that's a possibility?
That's a possibility.
So
and I think that,
do you understand that the police minister as well may say that I have raised concerns about the mismanagement of funds in this political task team that was being convened or overseen by the KZN commissioner even before that press conference on Sunday. And if you agree that may exist, then I go back to my question. Why then would you not want those allegations to be tested? And if on your example, whoever has the allegations that has got to be tested, then those people must be suspended pending the outcome of the inquiry. Then how do we justify that one person who also has allegations against them that were made before he even held a press conference, then let's not test those. In fact, let's keep him in the job while others get suspended. How do you justify that as fair?
Yeah. My final point then, Clement, to you. My justification would be is that the minister and Sibiya had an ample opportunity to stand up and talk last year or the year before, aka was 20s. What year? Why were you quiet all along? Now that all of a sudden you are being accused, then you come to the fore. However, we will not have an answer to that. But
or maybe they'll say to you, we were dealing with it internally. Like, do you know IDEC? Do you know IDEC may be investigating the General Mkhwanazi? What if they've dealt with it internally? They have actually complained internally. They didn't just want to have a press conference like Mkhwanazi did.
Well, in that case, when Clement, then the National Commission, by the way, we would have known about that, for starters.
How?
We would have known. So, news leaks. So we would have known about that a long time ago. When Mkhwanazi started to be a shining star, nobody came with zero allegations against him.
No,
so
not every
why all
news
of a sudden
leak.
now, when the guy is doing a good job, trying to clean up the SAPS, all of a sudden, all these allegations are starting to rise up.
Yeah.
For me, that's Bell Pottinger version 2. But let me leave it at Clement.
Yeah. Kustas, last one quickly though. Do you think Mkhwanazi is going to come with the evidence of the judiciary being infiltrated? Because here's my concern, and again, you know my views about Mkhwanazi. I think he's probably the best police commissioner we have in this country. I think he's been doing an incredible work in KZN. Nobody can argue. Even Sibiya himself acknowledges that. But I'm sorry, I don't think they are just holy cows where I think some people are perfect. And I don't think Mkhwanazi himself is perfect, by the way. And I do think that you've got a point. Maybe he is being targeted here because he's cleaning up the SAPS. That's a possibility. But here's what I would love to see from him. I would love to see him come and raise the evidence of judicial interference. Because for me, that's even my biggest worry, Kustas. Because I've seen the stuff about the police, and I do think the police minister is not going to survive this one because he probably took a unilateral decision without consulting with people around the task team. I do think that the fact that there's a Mkhotsi guy who's talking about meetings, Nabo Sibiya and Nabo Banbani, that's a big problem. But my biggest worry is there's a claim here that's been made and we've not seen the evidence of it. You said there's an infiltration in the judiciary. I would love to see General Mkhwanazi come there and say, here's the evidence I have. Because the judiciary released a statement last week. The Chief Justice said, please lay a complaint. Tell us who are the judges so that we can start our investigation. He still hasn't. The police are saying this person has said something about the police minister, and yet there's still no case. Where are the cases? Where are the complaints? So that we don't just operate from a basis of just a press briefing.
Yeah, Clement, here's my final parting shot to answer to your question. One of the magistrate decisions to grant bail, Clement, particularly on these investigations on the police, there's a lot of shenanigans going on within the judiciary. The judge that gave Upushiri a bail to leave the country, that judge here,
but let's work on evidence. Let's work on evidence, because you and I, otherwise, we're going to go on a deep hole where we make assumptions about judges' decisions and trying to link them to criminality. We're talking evidence here. Because if I say on air, the judiciary is infiltrated, I know that for sure. We have uncovered this. What would you expect from me? Is to lay a complaint and say, Judge Manyathela, Judge Abel are the ones who are infiltrated, so that the JSC can investigate, and then you lay a complaint. I'm sorry, you don't make a serious allegation like that and you just put it out there to cause fire. You don't provide the evidence. Not on a serious allegation like that. So at the very least, can we agree that at the inquiry, the onus is on him to provide that evidence? And if he doesn't, we must ask him serious questions about why he would say something like that without providing evidence.
I agree with you.
All
but
right.
also, we need to help him to gather that evidence, because there are many...
Help him, Gajani. He had covered it already. He just needs to tell us the names.
We're going to help him, Clement,
Okay.
to go to that commission with absolutely decisions that have been made by magistrates that should have been investigated,
Okay.
but they have never been investigated by the Magistrates Commission.
All right, got you. Detective Christas calling us from Midrand, 8 minutes before 10.
Celebrate the horse racing season of champions with Hollywood bets and saddle up for sensational success. Stand a chance to win a spectacular share of over 2 million rand in prizes, including a brand new Amoda C5 or C7. All you have to do is bet 50 rand or more on any horse racing event for a shot at your crowning moment. Take the reins and get ready to gallop to grand rewards. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Get ready to fill your stride with a delicious cup of Milo at 702 Walk the Talk, packed with 6 vitamins and 3 minerals to help power your walk from start to finish. Swing by the Milo van for a tasty boost and experience the same energy that fuels South Africa's future champs every day. Milo, energy to go further.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
All right, it's 6 minutes before 10 o'clock. Our system seems to be jammed there somehow. Let's continue with your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Clement, you guys can talk until the cows come home. Nothing is going to come out of this commission. Nothing outside of the zilch that's going to come out of this commission. We have seen this before here in South Africa. We have read the script over and over. Here's what's going to happen. Senzo Mchunu is going to go back to KZN. He's going to go back to the grassroots to mobilize. These charges is going to be so politicized and he's going to look like a victim. Come 2029 or 27 elections of the ANC, Senzo Mchunu is going to emerge as the leader and we're going to go full circle again. That's the story of South Africa. Thanks. It's Pumezo from Centurion.
Morning, Clement and team. Regarding your question on the decision of the president last night, look, I don't see more that he could have done. And I understand that he was really trying to be very careful by placing the minister on leave of absence. Because to be honest, what more he could have done, what drastic actions he could have taken in the absence of proven evidence. So he had to do what he had to do. It's fine. The minister is no longer in the ham, and it's going to really allow the investigation to flow, I believe, freely. But on the decision of the inquiry, we are fatigued, like you're saying, and we have lost faith in the inquiries, because how many inquiries were done in the country and were actioned on? You see, if the president had actioned the recent one, we're talking of the state capture, and we have seen people, in orange overalls, especially the senior people, then we will applaud or welcome the decision of the inquiry. But over and above that, what else can be done? What else can be done? We just have to wait and see.
Morning, Clement and your team. To those, Clement, who are accusing the president for not having a backbone, do they expected the president to just fire Mchunu by just hearsay, Clement, without even testing the allegation? I think the move to suspend him is very, very welcome to the certain quarters. Only some certain people who think otherwise, but I strongly believe and have a trust with this president that we have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are we going to have trust in him when there are recommendations made by this inquiry? Or is he going to take time to implement it? But as I said, I do hope that the judiciary and Parliament, because this final report will be sent to them as well as stakeholders, I hope that they can start their implementation process and put pressure on the president if he won't be acting quick. That's 3 minutes before 10.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
My name is Papla from Easters. I listen to Clement, Mandy, and Stephen. And 702 is my source of information. And I just love listening to it. I've been listening to 702 for many, many, many years. And I'm looking forward to listen to many, many more to come. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts,
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
702 family, we have a 702 family gathering, so please come and walk with us and meet the 702 fellow family members. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. 702 Walk the Talk hits the streets on Sunday the 27th of July. I will be there. Are you going to be there? I'm still trying to decide if I should do the 8 kilometer, if I should do the 6 kilometer, or if I should go for the 4 kilometer this time around. But this is a chance for all of us to meet each other, to enjoy the fun and the bars of walking together. You're going to be entertained along the way by the djembe drums, the brass bands, dancers, stilt walkers, even surprise appearances by Zola and Ishmael along the way, thanks to Made in Mzansi. Plus, more on-stage entertainment at the finish line. Choose your distance from the 8 kilometers, the 6.7 kilometers for Mandela Month, or the family-friendly 4 kilometers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for kids under 12. Register now on primemediaplus.com. Come and walk with the 702 family and experience the vibe. It's always amazing. The 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3731. I'm really struggling to explain my parents to my therapist. Might send him to live with them so he can see for himself. What if he ends up in therapy too? Wait, what if they love him more than me?
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Formulated from 5,000-year-old Ayurvedic wisdom, refined through decades of modern science. For 95 years, Himalaya Wellness has been the trusted name in herbal care, caring for families in more than 100 countries around the world. Our clinically studied natural formulations, pure herbs, and personal care products are designed to support your health, skin, smile, and your baby's well-being. Bring the healing power of nature into your home. Himalaya Wellness. Live well, live herbal.
What does extraordinary mean to you?
Is it being voted South Africa's most trusted enterprise telco 2 years in a row?
Vodacom Business helps more than 133,000 businesses with AI, cloud, enterprise apps, IoT, and security. One seamless ecosystem. Together, let's build the extraordinary that sustains today and protects tomorrow. Start your journey at vodacombusiness.co.za. Further together, Vodacom Business.
This winter, be the difference in the life of a child facing a life-limiting illness. Join Footprints for Sam for a magical fundraising gala dinner on Saturday, 26 July at the iconic Polo Room in Nanda Club. An evening of fine dining, moving stories, and meaningful impact. Sponsor a table, bring your team, or treat someone special. I am Sam's mum, Melissa. Join us. Book now at footprintsforsam.org. All proceeds support 6 vital pediatric initiatives. Footprints for Sam, because every child deserves hope and a future.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Maki Malapo. We begin in the west of Johannesburg, where some disgruntled community members from Vleerhof have gathered outside the Roodepoort Magistrates Court calling for justice for Jaden Lee Meek. This comes ahead of the appearance of the 11-year-old boy's close family member. The close relative was arrested last week in connection to the death of the boy. Jaden Lee's body was found in front of his family home's doorstep in May. This was hours after his mother reported him missing, saying the child did not return home from school. Member of the National Assembly and community activist Dereline James says more needs to be done to protect children from having such a fate.
But right now, mixed emotions. I'm totally unsettled. The very person who's meant to protect this boy is said to be embroiled in this case.
Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police is set to meet this week to deliberate on President Cyril Ramaphosa's announcement for the establishment of a judicial commission into allegations of corruption and collusion within the SAPS. Last night, President Cyril Ramaphosa made a public statement from the Union Buildings in Pretoria addressing serious allegations into an organized criminal network in Gauteng involving senior police officials and members of the judicial cluster. This comes a week after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Clement Manyathela exposed the alleged criminal network in Gauteng during a briefing implicating Police Minister Mchunu and Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya. Mkhwanazi claims the pair, together with external forces, were behind a move to disband the KwaZulu-Natal Political Killings Task Team who were probing the syndicate in Gauteng. As a result, Ramaphosa has placed Police Minister Mchunu on special leave, with Wits law professor Firoz Cachalia set to act in Mchunu's position. Chairperson of Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron, feels the decision for yet another commission won't resolve the current issues plaguing the police service.
We have Parliament for a reason. So this coming Wednesday, the Police Portfolio Committee as well as the Justice and Constitutional Development Committees will meet together to determine the way forward in terms of Parliament. And to be very honest, I mean, we can't take away from this commission before it started, but the track record is pretty bad.
Meanwhile, an independent policing analyst has partially welcomed the establishment of a judicial inquiry probing allegations of corruption in the police service. Johan Berger says it's disappointing that the country has yet another commission of inquiry, but at least something has been done.
The commission is, I think, authorized at least to start with the existing prima facie evidence which General Mkhwanazi referred to. So that's the encouraging thing, is that they will look at the prima facie evidence that exists, and that would, I think, include the 121 case dockets that were sent to the office of General Sibiya.
Police in Sukukuza in Mpumalanga are investigating a shooting incident between park rangers and alleged poachers at the Kruger National Park. The body of an alleged poacher was found with a gunshot wound in the park at the weekend. Preliminary investigations suggest that the man could have been shot during a shootout with field rangers the previous night. Tando Luhlengcobo reports.
According to reports, 3 field rangers were on patrol last Friday when they came into contact with 3 suspected poachers. The rangers ordered the group to stop, but the suspected poachers responded by opening fire at the rangers, who reportedly fired back, resulting in a shootout. The alleged poachers are said to have ran further into the dark, and due to poor light, the rangers abandoned their pursuit and returned to camp. It's understood that when the rangers returned to the scene the following morning, they found a body of a man with a gunshot wound with a backpack next to him. They found 2 rhino horns inside the backpack, and police say 2 other suspected poachers who managed to flee the scene are still at large. Tando Luhlengcobo, Eyewitness News.
Johannesburg residents are urged to prepare for up to 4 days of water disruptions that will see taps in some areas either run dry or experience low water pressure. Parts of the city are expected to be without running water due to Rand Water's planned maintenance on its O2 pipeline that will be conducted from tomorrow until Friday. The maintenance will affect several areas in the metro, including those supplied by the Sandton and Midrand systems, as well as the Alexandra Park, Linksfield and Rankislachte reservoirs. Joburg Water spokesperson Nombusi Shabalala.
Johannesburg residents are reminded that Rand Water will be conducting maintenance at its Palmet system from the 15th till the 18th of July 2025. During this period, residents may experience low water pressure to no water.
And it will be a big week for South Africa's G20 presidency when the fiscal and monetary policy heads host the latest finance track meetings in KwaZulu-Natal. The meetings will kick off today, starting with the deputy finance ministers and deputy central bank governors. This is the fourth time the group will meet with global counterparts since South Africa assumed the rotational presidency. Nukayam Tambo has more.
At previous meetings, finance officials from South Africa and other parts of the world placed emphasis on challenges and constraints to growth in developing countries, particularly in Africa. Debt sustainability for developing economies is one of the priorities, with calls from the continent for solutions to address the crippling debt crisis, which is possibly the worst in 80 years. The high cost of cross-border payments is also expected to be back on the agenda at this week's meetings. Reserve Bank Governor and co-host of the G20 Finance Track, Lisa Jachanyach.
The cost of cross-border payments in African corridors is amongst the highest in the world. Actually, it is said that the most expensive corridor is Johannesburg-Harare.
The series of meetings in Durban come on the back of continued geopolitical tensions and looming threats of new trade wars. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
Gold's trading at $3,370.56 an ounce. The rand's at 17.87 to the dollar, at 24.10 to the pound, at 20.89 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $71.28 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North between Malibongo Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. This is due to roadworks taking place between these 2 points, and they're causing about a 20-minute hold-up while traveling in Boksburg. We've got delays on the N12 East towards Tom Jones Street due to a major accident scene causing heavy delays coming out of Atlas Road.
Look at your weather. Clear skies in store for Gauteng. Today, temperatures will reach highs between 20 and 22 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour: some disgruntled community members from Vleerhof in the west of Johannesburg have gathered outside the Roodepoort Magistrates Court calling for justice for Jaden Lemeek.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang, Sanbonani. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. As always, truly appreciate your contributions on the 702 open line. So, here's something else that is tricky that you need to perhaps start thinking about. What would happen if the National Police Commissioner decides to suspend the Deputy Commissioner, Shadrach Sibia? I have been reliably informed by some people in the SAPS that that is a consideration by Masemola. And I wonder what that would mean, because remember what the president said last night. He said the inquiry will decide whether or not the implicated parties must be suspended pending the outcome of the inquiry. So it's like the president has given that task and duty to the inquiry. I don't know, maybe he didn't want this to be too politicized, because then if one person suspends this and doesn't suspend the other, then that becomes complicated. But he wanted an independent judicial commission of inquiry to be the one that in its wisdom, in its independent wisdom, they decide who must be suspended. Now the question is, what if the commissioner of police, because he is constitutionally obligated to act, but also constitutionally he can take that decision to suspend the deputy national police commissioner. And you can't want to argue that, yeah, he violated the law. No, he's the national police commissioner. He's got every right to suspend the deputy national commissioner if he thinks something is wrong there and they've got allegations against them that they must answer to them. The difference here is that the president wants this not to be politicized. So he wants an independent inquiry to be the one that decides who must be suspended. They must decide, must Mkhwanazi be suspended? Must Shadrach Sibia be suspended? Or must it only be Shadrach Sibia? Or must they remain at work while the inquiry continues? But I do think that if Masemula does somehow act, some people may see him as being factional, because they'll argue that, but the president gave that job to the inquiry. Yes, you've got the power to act as commissioner, but there's a process already that's been announced. Why are you interfering with that? Oh, and I think that's just going to make things even more trickier. So let's wait and see what next move will come from the National Police Commissioner and how that's going to be sliced, especially from the position of the president. I wonder how he will take it, looking at the announcement about the inquiry and giving the responsibility to the inquiry to be the one that decides who gets suspended or who doesn't, pending the outcome of their work. It's 12 minutes now after 10 o'clock.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
All right, let's now speak to the person that the president has appointed to act as the Minister of Police. Remember, the president has appointed Professor Firoz Cachalia to be the acting police minister. And of course, Professor Firoz Cachalia has got some experience in this, and I'm sure throughout the day you'll learn more and more about the work that he has done when he was here, for instance, in Gauteng, serving as the MEC for community safety. But also, this is someone who headed the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council, right? Or is it agency? Now I forget how they actually mentioned that. But it was the Anti-Corruption Advisory Council that he was heading. So the president appointed him yesterday, and I know there are questions that have been asked by the EFF. I see the MK party as well. It's council. All right, so it's Anti-Corruption Advisory Council. So I see that there are concerns that have been raised by the EFF. I see the MK party as well released a statement saying, how do you appoint someone who's not in cabinet to be the acting minister? Because the law says whoever you appoint as acting must already be a cabinet minister. Now, Cachalia is not acting now. He hasn't started. That's why the president last night said there's someone else in cabinet who's going to act until Professor Cachalia can do the work, which means between now and probably end of July, there will be a swearing in of Professor Cachalia, which then would make him a member of cabinet, and then he can officially take over the responsibility as the acting police minister in line with what the legislation requires. That's just my preliminary understanding. I'm not a lawyer. I know the EFF is seeking legal counsel. So if they find a strong case to challenge here, then they can go to court. I just think it's, at least to me at this point, it's clear like that he is not acting right now. So you can't challenge it now because he's still going to be sworn in. And officially he takes over the responsibility once he's a member of cabinet. I think that's how I'm looking at it. Now, here's a conversation that I pre-recorded this morning with Professor Firoz Cachalia about this new role that he will be taking up in the next couple of weeks. Professor Cachalia, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
And congratulations on your appointment as the police minister.
Thank you. Obviously, quite daunting.
Yeah.
The circumstances that led to my appointment are obviously deeply troubling for the country. But I wish to assure your listeners that I appreciate the weight of this responsibility and will do my best.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got the president mentioned some experience here. You were heading the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council. Where do you think you are going to begin? I mean, normally people, when they're appointed, they want to sit down and get some kind of information, gather up some advisors. Where do you think you are going to begin here?
Well, I used to serve in community safety in Gauteng. I served for a 5-year period and learned a lot, I think, in that experience. And you're quite right that the work of the council, the National Anti-Corruption Council, has focused on corruption in general, but also corruption in the police service. And we have made some recommendations. We are in the process of finalizing our report by the end of August. So I think in some way this appointment will assist me to take forward some of those recommendations. However, I think the country is not only concerned about corruption in the police service, it's also concerned perhaps in the first place about high levels of criminality. So I think the focus also has to be on the effectiveness of the police in dealing with crimes, particularly those that have a strong impact on communities. I'm thinking about drugs, for instance.
Yeah.
Violent crime, and of course we have a problem of growing organized crime. I'm still getting my head around what the priorities need to be, and I hope to be in a good position to kind of hit the ground running by the 1st of August.
Yeah, I do think that part of the reason the president decided to go with someone like you, who is also an academic, but also understands very much the kind of issues we have in this country as far as crime and perhaps even corruption in the system is concerned, is that he wanted someone who is not political, given that there are already concerns about the infiltration of the SAPS or law enforcement agencies through politicians. But are you not worried that you are probably going to be frustrated then by the system itself? I mean, if there's infiltration, does it worry you that maybe the people you will be working with may frustrate your work here? How do you think you can maneuver that?
Well, only once I take up the appointment and am able to meet with senior police officers in the leadership positions and so forth can I make that assessment.
Yeah.
I've got no illusions about the constraints there might be. But my experience in the past suggests that, I had productive relationships with the police management. There was a level of mutual respect, and we were able to get at least some work done. So I'm not going in there with the assumption, that everyone will be against me and I mean, there are a lot of police officers, and I don't just say that, because I'm making a public comment, but, I think we have police officers who are serious about crime, who are embarrassed by these revelations, who want to be working in an institution that has public respect. And so I will work with with those positive sentiments as well.
Yeah. Well, do you think that you would prefer to also bring in your own staff to perhaps even deal with that, or are you prepared to work with the existing staff of perhaps the minister or those, particularly like when it comes to communications or advisors, or do you think it's best that you bring your own people?
Well, I'm going to have to discuss this matter with the president. I'll have to make an assessment. I mean, I did in Gauteng. I benefited from being able to bring in a few of my own advisors, but I also worked with a department that, of course, preceded my appointment, and still those were productive relationships. So you've got to be able to do that. Go into an organization and work with the people who are there. It should also be borne in mind that, as I understand the president's decision, this is an appointment for the duration of the work of the Judicial Commission of Inquiry. So he indicated that the commission will probably sit for about 6 months. 6 months is not a long time to govern the Titanic.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go in there with a set of priorities, and I hope to make a difference in the time that I will have.
Well, Professor Cachalia, thank you for your doing country duty and for agreeing to somehow help in this very difficult situation the country finds itself in, and we wish you all the best. I think when you succeed, South Africa succeeds. So we'll be praying for you and thinking about you as you go about these responsibilities.
Thank you so much for those comments.
All right, that is Professor Firoz Cachalia, the incoming acting police minister.
7:02.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes now after 10 o'clock. Let's bring in Nathi Nhleko, who is the former Minister of Police. As I said to you earlier, I wanted to bring in someone who's been in these shoes, who can maybe share his own experience with us about criminal syndicates and their ability to infiltrate the SAPS. He joins us now on the line. Mr. Nhleko, thank you for making time for us. Good morning.
Yeah, hello, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. So, when you were police minister, did you at any point have to deal with this level of interference and criminal infiltration within the police? And I wanted you to come because we want to understand, as South Africans, whether are we just dealing here with a surface issue of allegations and counter allegations, or could there potentially be a bigger fight going on behind the scenes, either between criminal syndicates or drug cartels, and that's expressing itself through those that are appointed in these SAPS top echelons?
No, look, I think we're dealing with a much more bigger problem than narrowly just the question of drug syndicates and criminal cartels and so on. The fact of the matter is that criminal formations will always try their best to crack into the system and so on. But there are three broader issues that, in the light of the recent developments, come to light. The first one is that this is a broader governance problem and governance failures on the one hand. In a sense that you have, for an example, existing institutions within our legal framework that fall within the state that should be in a position to do this kind of work. For an example, the conduct of the police is always investigated and subjected to an independent police investigative directorate and so on.
Yeah.
The conduct of the judiciary and related services is always under the auspices of the Judicial Services Commission and so forth. Now, so the fact that we are not using such instruments do want to suggest that we have governance failures within the system. That's the one aspect. The second one is that you also have the issue of the interface between political management and administration. And I think the issues that were raised by General Mchunu, for instance, are largely within that area. The Constitution is quite clear, because there's also a historical context when we were writing the Constitution at the time, why we came out with, I think, Section 206 and Section 207. The question of political oversight falling under a civilian control, in other words, falling under a minister.
Yeah.
It's clearly informed by historical perspective that during the days of apartheid, we had a police state, and therefore it became critical that policing needed to be overseen from a civilian perspective and so on. Now, but operational control is with the National Commissioner. Now, the fact that we are a police minister or a minister of police, I think that's what it is called in the Constitution. The fact that we are a minister of police does not necessarily empower, empower you as an individual to direct operations of policing.
Yes.
Hope I'm making sense.
Yes, you are. And that's where the fault seemingly is on the part of the Minister of Police, because he has sent out letters and he has not even clearly consulted and agreed here with the National Commissioner.
Exactly, that's the point. And that's why I'm raising the issue of the administrative interface between political management and administration. And we need to be quite careful of that. I think that area of failure is that we are increasingly becoming a commissioned state. So you every time there's a problem, a commission is set up, but also nothing is realized out of such work of a commission, right? So you can run a list of no less than 10, 12 kind of commissions that have been there before, and also, but no action,
Yeah.
And that's a governance, and that's a governance problem.
Yeah.
So you think that as society, we do need to take stock of this, because essentially the allegations, they are serious to an extent that all they do, they actually threaten the democratic outlook of our society. If you have elements that begin to point out that you have a judiciary, for an example, that is corrupted, or you have the police service that is corrupted, the prosecution arm of the state, a prosecutory arm of the state that is also corrupted, and so on. So clearly, the question of public confidence is completely undermined on that front.
Let me ask about police ministers who often want to have their own police commissioners. How big of a dynamic is that? Because even in this case, you've got, we've seen it over in the past, whether during the time with Fikile Mbalula, with Becky Cele, with others before. It's almost like any police minister wants to have their preferred police commissioner. Help us understand that dynamic and why that's often the expectation.
No, if that is the case, that is the wrong approach altogether. First and foremost, police are professionals, and they are loyal to policing as an institution. They're not loyal to you as a politician, and that's the line that needs to be drawn in between the two. A good policeman is always directed by what the legal prescripts are that dictate his or her function, and they're loyal to that. Now, and I think we should keep it that way. We should keep it that way. I mean, all you can do as a political operative is to deal with the issue of policy development, policy direction, and overseeing the operations and whether or not what police are doing is in tandem with the stated objectives, both of the Constitution, but also public expectation. And that's it, and leave it at that. So it wouldn't be a correct approach that if you appoint me today as a minister, therefore, it means I must go the direction of handing you around for you to leave 702 and become a national commissioner because I happen to like you or something. No, it can't be. It can't be correct an approach.
Yeah, got it. Nathi Nhleko, thank you so much for coming through with those insights from someone who has been in the belly of the beast, so to speak. Nathi Nhleko is the former Minister of Police. It's 10:31. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Maki, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Forensic teams are combing through the scene of a botched hijacking outside the home of acting Gauteng Police Commissioner Fred Kekana. A search is underway in and around Western area for a blue BMW which the suspects were travelling in. It's understood the armed suspects attempted to hijack a constable in a state vehicle who was outside Kekana's house to fetch him. The MK party has set President Cyril Ramaphosa an ultimatum: retract his decision to appoint an interim police minister or face a legal challenge. The party believes the decision is unconstitutional. Last night, Ramaphosa placed Mchunu on special leave and announced that Wits Law Professor Firoz Cachalia will act in the role from next month. And Johannesburg residents are urged to prepare for up to 4 days of water disruptions that will see taps in some areas either run dry or experience low water pressure. Parts of the city are expected to be without running water due to Rand Water's planned maintenance on its O2 pipeline that will be conducted from tomorrow until Friday. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 11 o'clock or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling on the N1 North, we've got delays between Malibongwe Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. That's due to roadworks taking place along this route. Expect about a 20-minute hold-up if you're heading towards areas like Paulshof as well as Sunninghill. While travelling on the N12 East, we've got delays between Atlas Road and Tom Jones Street. This is due to an earlier accident. The delays are still there, causing about a 15-minute hold-up. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. If you are travelling along the N12 West towards Protea Glen, do expect delays approaching the R558 due to roadworks as well as faulty traffic lights right at the R558 turn off. I'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9. Minister Mchunu is now going to be on special leave. As I understand it, that's not a suspension. I'm just trying to figure out what the provision is to have two ministers.
If you like, you can call it a step aside. That inquiry must be allowed to go through without any suspicion or apprehension about potential interference. And therefore, the minister could not be in his role, hence the leave of absence that the president has granted him.
Vincent Magwenya.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival offers you 3 days of the heart and art of jazz from the 26th to the 28th of September across 4 stages at the Sandton Convention Center. Esperanza Spalding, the Baylor Project, Jasmine Horn, Alune Wade, Steve Badi, Michelle Ndenjeshelo, Steve Dyer featuring Amazwi 8 Choir, Gabi Mutuba, the Fisherman Orchestra, and over 50 world-class acts will be expecting you and yours. Take me there. Buy your tickets +1 at Ticketmaster now.
Hey, honey, look. Went to the shops, like you asked, and it was the Deco Fern birthday sale. Picked up this amazing 3-seater sofa for only $5,599. And this coffee table, just $489. Oh, and this gorgeous standing mirror for like $699.
Wow, I just asked you to get some milk.
Get deals worth celebrating at Deco Furniture's epic birthday sale with 10 to 40% and more of everything in store or online now at decofurniture.co.za.
It all starts with FNB Private. Diversify your portfolio to grow your wealth. Gain global exposure through shares or unit trusts on the FNB app. Tap into international investments and tax-efficient offshore trusts to build your legacy. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSB and credit provider. FNB International Trustees, FNB IT registration number 3080. Licensed by the Guernsey Financial Services Commission to conduct fiduciary business. T's and C's apply.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city, from the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union buildings. Choose the 8 kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4 kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
You could smash that snooze button for the 7th time. Or you could grab the new Berry Blue sports drink from Aquila Vive and get moving. Blue has never tasted so good. Bursting with bold berry flavor, packed with electrolytes and vitamins, and free from colorants. Aquila Vive sports and power drinks. Let's move.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, it's 23 minutes now before 11 o'clock. So we started a new series last week, which I'm really excited about, where we look at successful land restitution cases. And I found out, I wanted us to do this series because there was a time when I was looking for a place to go to, and I landed upon a place called Pafuri Game Reserve or Pafuri Resort or Camp. It's in the Kruger National Park. And I found out about the history of the place, that this is where a certain community lived. They were dispossessed of their land. They claimed the land back, and they've since managed to claim back their ancestral land. And the community now has taken ownership of that place in the Kruger National Park, and they're using the funds there to develop their community further. And I just thought, what an inspirational story. And I thought we should do a series on all these places, not all of them because there are quite a lot, but we must do a series where we look at successful land restitution cases, because there are some stories out there to tell. But I think these stories also inspire and encourage other people who are still in the process of reclaiming their ancestral land. It encourages them to keep on pushing, right? So we need to understand our history in as far as land dispossession is concerned, and we need to understand the resilience and the fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land, especially communities that ultimately got their land back and transferred it into a source of pride and empowerment. And I know we often criticize government for the slow land restitution program, but that doesn't mean that there are no pockets of success. And I want us to highlight those pockets of success. So today, I actually wanted us to look at the Double Drift Community Land Claim, right? So that we can understand how they've done it in the Eastern Cape. This is a community that a century ago, they were forcefully removed from their ancestral land under the 1913 Natives Land Act. The Double Drift community in the Eastern Cape then reclaimed their land initially taken to make way for a game reserve. So the community members actually had a choice to either take the money, receive another piece of land, or keep the existing land. And they chose the latter to ensure growth and sustainability in the area. I mean, it's 1,400 hectares that's now being utilized for game farming and hunting laying the groundwork for a thriving community-based wildlife economy. So the Double Drift success story, I think, stands as a powerful example of land reform in action, where dignity is restored, livelihoods are rebuilt, and local ownership becomes a foundation for prosperity. And dignity is important, right? How many of us black folks can tell stories of our relatives that are living in other parts? Because normally when you see, like, your family will be concentrated in a particular area, but if you investigate further with your own family and you find out that there are certain, great-grandparents or certain uncles or aunts who are concentrated in another part of the province, and you wonder, why are we so far apart? Well, you'll hear a story of land dispossession, that when communities were dispossessed of their land, families broke apart. Families went their separate ways, and that's why sometimes you find yourselves being concentrated in different parts. You leave the graveyards there, cemeteries of people that you love, that you've cared for. Yes, you travel and move with your livestock, but some of it dies along the way. So there's dignity that comes with reclaiming ancestral land. It's not just for economic benefit. It's part of just reclaiming that identity, reclaiming that dignity, and also honoring the people that have passed, whose remains still lay in those areas. So today we wanted to speak to this community in the Eastern Cape. I'm told by the producers that there seems to be an issue. In fact, this person was ready to speak to us, but now he's telling us that they've received information that there are poachers in the farm, and he needs to attend to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with your calls because this is an emergency that's just happened with our guest, unless he's going to provide us with something else someone else that we can talk to. But the information I've just gotten from the producers is that while this person was waiting to speak to us, he received information that there are poachers in the farm, and that's something he's going to have to attend to. But we're going to continue with the calls then. If they give us somebody else to talk to, we'll continue with them. If not, we'll just move the conversation to the next weekend. So let's continue with your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. I'm happy for you to let me know your thoughts on Professor Cachalia that we spoke to in the previous 30 minutes. We spoke to the former Minister of Police, Nathi Nhleko. What are your thoughts on what they've had to say? Or maybe you want to continue the chat we had on the 702 open line this morning. I'm happy for us to also talk about the issue of land restitution. Are you perhaps a member of a community that's still trying to fight for land back? I know last week we received some calls from some communities who said, we've been at this for the last 10, 15 years, and we are still waiting to get our land back. And that is the reality for some communities who have been fighting for so long. They've been fighting for so long just to get their land back. And if you are one of those communities, I'd like you to give us a call on 011-883-0702. Or maybe you know of a successful land restitution claim and you want to share that with us. Maybe it's a lodge you visited and you heard their story. Or maybe you are one of the communities that got the land back. What did you use that land for? Did you use it for agricultural purposes? Did you keep the game reserve, perhaps, that was established there on land that was taken away from you as communities? What did you do with that land? Did you choose to take money? Because this community we were meant to talk to, they gave them options. Here's the money. And they realized that if we're going to be distributing this money, that's going to be too complex for us. Let's rather go for, we want that land, because then there's sustainability there, in as far as the income or revenue is concerned. Let me know your stories of successful land restitution claims, or maybe not successful yet. You are still fighting. Where are you with that fight, and what's the idea of what you want to do with the land once you have reclaimed your ancestral land? It's 15 minutes now before 11 o'clock. We'll take your calls and WhatsApps after the break.
Dear Journal, day 3049 of trying to be an adult.
I still haven't bought a recycling bin, so there's a mountain of cans in my kitchen that could collapse at any moment. Anyway, what's that saying about your home being a reflection of your mental state?
Got evicted from the family home? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's like 570 Rand a month, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Join Food Forward SA for our annual Mandela Day packing event on 18 July at the Expo Centre, Nasrec, Johannesburg. Volunteer 67 minutes of your time to help sort and pack nutritious food for vulnerable communities. Book your spot now at webtickets.co.za for 67 Rand and take action to honour Tata Madiba's legacy. Food Forward SA, securing quality food, nourishing lives.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and Flemings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
702.
WhatsApp Clement
on 072
702
1702.
Right, 14 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's go to your WhatsApps. That's how we're going to wrap up this hour of the show. Apologies once again for, of course, this emergency that's come through with our guest that we were supposed to speak to, who's in the Eastern Cape. In fact, they now own the Great Fish Nature Reserve and the Brackfontein Community Reserve. They're in the Eastern Cape, and they got their land after so many years of trying to fight to get their ancestral land back. But they were removed by the apartheid government because there were plans to establish a game reserve there. They've since retained that. They've gotten their land back, and they're using these two game reserves as an opportunity to empower the community. We were meant to speak to someone who's part of the community there who has received an information that there are poachers in the farm, and they've had to attend to that. So I'm taking your calls now on 011-883-0702, and we'll bring this guest back next week when we do this feature on Monday. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Jabu, you are calling us from Sharpeville. Good morning.
Yes, Clement, good morning. Clement, very important topic that you are actually hosting today, and I've been listening to it throughout the part of last week. Yes, we are also part of the communities that got their land back, some few years ago. And ceremonies were held with regard to the government handing over implements, cattle and money to such communities, and we are one of those communities coming from the northwest area in the Ventersdorp municipality. So the problems we are encountering at present is with the committee that was put in place, and mostly it's people in their elderly age. I would say around 70 and 80 who actually do not want to give accountability to the communities in terms of sharing the spoils. Yeah, most of what was given to the entire community actually, revolves around them only. And also with the fact that they do not even want to call meetings to come and account on how the farms are actually progressing and with regard to the problems that have been encountered today. So we actually took it upon ourselves as concerned residents, actually concerned beneficiaries, to present the matter to the provincial department that runs with the CPAs, and to the point of not actually getting a proper reply to our satisfaction. We actually ended up sending the matter to Pretoria, and we are still waiting for.
Where's the land now? What is it being used for, Jabu? The land that you got back.
The land is unused.
Just sitting there.
The land is unused. Yes, the land has no crops that have been planted. The government actually provided us with 3 million rands worth of cattle, and that is of a good breed. And I'll be specific, that will be a breed of Bonsmara.
Yeah, where's that cattle now?
You can imagine. The cattle, we're not getting any accountability with regard to that. Every time we question, we give questions to the community.
Yeah, and that's the challenge, right? Sometimes there's just infighting in this entire process where you've got community members that are concerned because they've seen that monies have come from government. Here's the land. Often that comes with some money that at least helps you set up, and those people that are in charge never get to account. And that becomes, from what I've seen in the past reporting about land restitution claims, that becomes the issue when the community benefits, and then it's the chief or certain politicians who now take the benefit and they use that land and the benefits for their own benefit, as opposed to this has got to empower the entire community. Morongwa, you are calling from Bela Bela. What's your experience with your own community? Good morning.
Hi, Clement. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, we have a land that we have successfully claimed. However, our board of trustees was unable to resettle the community in the land due to infighting, financial mismanagement, and so forth. So to this point, the board of trustees lapsed, and we really need to appoint a new board of trustees so that we can regularize that land, so that we can occupy the land. So right now, what we need as community, we actually request 702 listeners to assist us to fund the process, just to mobilize the community so that we can have a 70% majority for community to appoint a new board.
So what's the community? Who's part of the? Are there communities though that support the trustees? So are you saying there are other communities that don't support the people who are running and managing that land?
Clement, the board of trustees lapsed. It has expired.
Yeah.
So we really need to appoint a new board of trustees because according to the trust deed, there's no way that the board can, the land may be managed without the board of trustees. So as we speak right now, we don't have a legalized board of trustees so that we can operate the land. So the process is very costly because we have to mobilize community, attend meetings, get the registers, verify members, and so forth, so that we are able to appoint the board of trustees.
Are you not able to engage government on that? Have you tried to engage government for assistance?
Yeah, we did, but unfortunately they couldn't assist us with funding. Just that process of mobilizing community and regularizing the land itself. And from there on, it's only then we can assist for investors to assist in the operation.
Yeah.
But right now, the process of mobilizing community is a bit costly. And as members, as beneficiaries right now, we don't have funds to undertake that process.
Here's something, Murunga. One of our listeners says, I must advise you to call Vuma Advisory. So Vuma Advisory helps land reform beneficiaries. So in cases where perhaps you need some funding with, in your case, trying to appoint a new board of trustees. So try and check them out. But they help land reform beneficiaries and communities and private investors have help. So can I put you back to the producers? They'll share the website. So it's vumelana.org.za. So VUMELANA.org.za. The producers will share that website with you. But one of our listeners has indicated that maybe you try them because they may be able to assist you there. Morongwa in Belabela, all the best. Zakaria, you calling from Rodeport. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Clement?
Good. Go ahead.
Good, thanks, man. Yes, we are also a community called Mekhareng. We are also under the Enclave institution, and we've got some of the land back, but majority of the land is still with the courts, where we are still, there's a court institution regarding the wife and so forth. However, there's a big problem with internal fightings and controlling of this land, because now it is only the few benefits. We try to call the government into place, but it's a tedious process because they are also they cannot do anything. If the land is already in your hands, you need to take control. The government can only advise in terms of being a mediator and try to give you guidance. There are about 72 million that have been looted by the community, by the executive, by the leaders, and they only revolve among themselves for 20 years. For more than 20 years, only same trustees, same leadership. When you try to bring youngsters in the problem, only elderly people want to go there, and the people who started this, they are the only one who wants to benefit from there. Yeah. They distribute money among themselves. Now there's an internal infighting. That's the problem. Now, when we engage the government, they come, they try to assist, but they seem to be looting with this leadership.
Yeah, there seems to be so many complaints, even on the WhatsApp line that we're getting around the infighting. And maybe we need to take the conversation forward. I don't know, maybe invite government. Do they intervene when communities fight amongst each other? I don't know. Is it a chief that intervenes, given how many calls and messages we're getting around communities that end up fighting? As you can imagine, I mean, a community is made up of so many people, right? And when there is lots of money involved, I mean, if they say, here's land available for you guys, here's a game reserve, this is how much revenue you are getting every single month, and there are certain people appointed by the community to lead, as soon as the community loses confidence in those people, they may want other people to come on, and those people may want to fight to sit, or they may influence other community members to support them, which then complicates the entire process where there are disagreements. But I think even in cases where there are successful land restitution claims and there are communities that have turned that land into a source of income, into a source of empowerment and pride, I don't think that they've not dealt with disagreements, but they found a way to manage them. And maybe the cases that we will be profiling, we must also ask them, how did you deal with the differences among community members, so that we help the others that have got the land back, they've got the money in some cases, but now there are issues around who's eating what, who is abusing the funds. How do they deal with stuff like that? Huh? It's 2 minutes now before 11.
Oh, Shane, do you have a sore throat? The Andalex range of lozenges offers two options. At the first signs of an irritated, scratchy throat, use Andalex lozenges for dual action, soothing relief. But for a painful, inflamed throat, use Andalex C lozenges for triple action, pain relief. Andalex, SA's #1 choice for a sore mouth and throat. Andalex lozenges are available at all leading pharmacies and supermarkets.
Just Andalex it.
Looking for business insurance that works as hard as you do? Well, Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for catering companies, boutique hotels, guest houses, tour operators, and more. Over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust them. Enjoy services like help at out with 24/7 access to panic assistance, roadside assistance, and even office assistance. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08 600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. to give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Mikey Molapo. We begin in Roodepoort, where it has been confirmed that the suspect arrested in connection with the murder of 11-year-old Jaden Lee Meek is his mother. Tiffany Meek is making her first court appearance in the Roodepoort Magistrates Court this morning. She was arrested last week, nearly 2 months after her son's body was found outside his family home. Meek had reported Jaden missing, claiming he failed to return home from school. The case has been postponed to July 18th for a formal bail application. Staying in the courts, the National Prosecuting Authority has run into another setback at the Gqeberha High Court as it moves to appeal the acquittal of controversial pastor Timothy Omotosho. Omotosho's defense team has this morning dismissed the state's bid for clarification, calling it a fishing expedition and legally unsound. The NPA has applied for clarification around Omotosho's acquittal as it prepares to approach the Supreme Court of Appeal. In April, Judge Irma Skuman acquitted the Nigerian pastor of 30 charges, including rape, racketeering and human trafficking against Omotosho. A month later, Omotosho left South Africa for Nigeria, escorted by Home Affairs officials who also declared him a prohibited person, banning his return for 5 years. In court today, Omotosho's lawyer Peter Doberman says granting the NPA its request for clarification would set a dangerous precedent. Forensic teams are combing through the scene of a botched hijacking outside the home of acting Gauteng Police Commissioner Fred Kekana. A search is underway in and around Western area for a blue BMW which the suspects were travelling in. As understood, the armed suspects attempted to hijack a constable in a state vehicle who was outside Kekana's house to fetch him. Thando Luhle reports.
A white state BMW with a shattered window on the driver's side is still parked outside the residence of acting Provincial Commissioner Fred Kekana in Western area on the West Rand. Forensic teams are dusting for fingerprints and taking photographs of evidence being collected. According to Western Area Station Commander Khomo Tsenejidengane, the suspects fled the scene after the constable acted swiftly and opened fire.
We are now here at the scene with the LCRC Local Criminal Record Center. They are trying to get more exhibits from the vehicle.
Both Kekana and the constable did not suffer any injuries during the attack. Thando Luhle, Eyewitness News in the West Rand.
The MK party has set President Cyril Ramaphosa an ultimatum: retract his decision to appoint an interim police minister or face a legal challenge. The party believes the decision is unconstitutional. Last night, Ramaphosa placed Mchunu on special leave and announced that Wits law professor Firoz Cachalia will act in the role from next month. This is while a commission of inquiry investigates allegations of corruption within the police force. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
President Cyril Ramaphosa invoked Section 93 of the Constitution, allowing him to select 2 outsiders to serve in ministerial positions to appoint Firoz Cachalia as the interim police minister. But the MK party says, read with Section 98 of the Constitution, this provision cannot be used to make an interim appointment. MK party spokesperson Shnamulo Ndlela.
We are seeking legal advice in order to challenge these announced decisions. In the meantime, we call on Ramaphosa to withdraw his decisions by no later than 10 a.m. on Wednesday, the 16th of July. Failing which, we'll take our fight to the courts, the parliament, and if needs be, to the streets.
Like the majority of political parties in Parliament, the MK party is not in favour of a commission of inquiry to investigate the claims of infiltration and collusion within the SAPS, saying it's political patronage to protect Ramaphosa from facing charges related to the Phala Phala scandal. The party says it's mandated its parliamentary caucus to table a motion of no confidence in Ramaphosa. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
Action SA is set to lay criminal charges against 3 top medical aid providers following damning findings of racial bias against black healthcare professionals. The findings of the long-awaited Section 59 inquiry were handed over to Health Minister Aaron Motsoaledi last week. It concluded that black doctors, psychologists and psychiatrists faced a disproportionately higher likelihood of investigation and sanction. Action SA MP Khosile Tlhape and Chief Whip Lerato Ngobeni are expected to take the matter to the Littleton Police Station today. Nogukanyam Tambo has more.
In 2019, some healthcare providers made public allegations about their treatment by medical aid schemes and administrators. The inquiry that followed focused on 2 issues: whether there was racial discrimination against black healthcare providers and procedural fairness in the treatment of those black healthcare providers from 2012 to 2019. According to the inquiry, black doctors were 1.4 times more likely to be deemed to be committing medical aid fraud, waste and abuse than any other ethnic group. The exercise was limited to Discovery, GEMS and MedScheme, which represent a larger share of the covered market. Action SA now says it's taking a firm stand against a range of unlawful practices by medical aid schemes that warrant criminal investigation. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
And clashes between military groups and tribes have left at least 30 people dead in the Syrian city of Sweda. According to state media, more than 100 people have also been injured. It's understood the violence erupted after a wave of kidnappings, including the abduction of a Druze merchant on Friday. The Druze faith is one of the region's major religious groups. Syria's defense ministry has deployed military convoys to the area, and the Interior Ministry has vowed to directly intervene to resolve the conflict. Gold's trading at exactly $3,365 an ounce. The rand's at 17.89 to the dollar, at 24.10 to the pound, at 20.90 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $71.04 a barrel.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic along the N1 North between Malibongwe Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive due to roadworks. There's also queuing traffic along the N12 West towards Protea Glen approaching the R558 due to more roadworks. And there's also slow-moving traffic on Main Reef Road just as you come out of the M2.
Look at your weather. Clear skies in store for Gauteng. Today, temperatures will reach highs between 20 and 22 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. It has been confirmed that the suspect arrested in connection with the murder of 11-year-old Jaden Lee Meek is his mother.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Entries to the 702 Walk the Talk are open. Go to primemediaplus.com to get your tickets today.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumela, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Time for our Family Matters feature.
702.
Family Matters.
So today on our Family Matters feature, we're discussing coping mechanisms. What's your coping mechanism and for what? What's the difference between healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms? Whatever you're going through, we all have some kind of system we use to cope with what we go through. And that can be the key to getting through the tough times that we face. Because whatever mechanism you use probably helps you tolerate, minimize, or even deal with that stressful situation facing you, right? There's some form of relief that you're probably feeling. But coping mechanisms are tactics that people use to deal with stressful situations, but some of those tactics may be unhealthy. And I want us to look at that today. What is healthy, what is not healthy when it comes to mechanisms that we use to cope with stressful situations. Not all coping mechanisms are positive. Sometimes it's tempting, in fact, to engage in strategies that will give quick relief, but then on the other side, they're creating a much bigger problem down the road. So that's why it's important to establish healthy coping skills that will help you reduce your emotional stress or rid yourself of the stressful situations that you face. So what is your coping mechanism? And when do you use it? People use all sorts of mechanisms just to forget or for some quick relief. What is it for you? And how has it benefited you? And maybe you've been using a particular coping mechanism and that hasn't really worked for you. You want to share that experience with us. You can call on 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line is 072 702 1702. Kifilo Mojapelo is a social worker, psychological well-being and employee wellness practitioner who's going to be guiding us through this conversation. Kifilo, thank you for making time. Welcome back to the show. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Clement, for having me, and good morning to you too and the listeners at home.
So, I mean, people do need coping mechanisms, don't they? Because they're dealing with tough or stressful situations. As humans, we find ourselves having to confront things in our lives that are very difficult to manage, and we often need certain things to just help us manage those situations. So in your experience, what are some of the most common challenges South Africans are facing that affect even their mental or emotional health that may require those coping mechanisms?
Thank you so much, Clement. So let me just do a quick intro. Who's Kifilo Mojapelo? Well, me, but my purpose is to nurture relationships, build functional families, and promote psychosocial well-being and restoration. Back to your question. So most of the things that, in my experience, at my practice currently, a lot of things that people need coping with, especially now, it's loss, trauma, loss, and I mean loss in many ways. Loss, of course, losing a job, losing a loved one, as well as general life challenges where I don't feel like I add value into life itself even.
Okay. So please help us understand why coping mechanisms develop then. Why do we as humans need coping mechanisms? I mean, does that suggest that there are certain things that we may face as human that may be beyond our ability to really manage? So we've got a threshold here, but there are certain issues that go beyond that threshold, which then requires that you have a coping mechanism of sorts.
Definitely. So one scholar, just to go back as to why we are having just a problem formulation around this and the topic. So one scholar defines stress as an unpleasant emotion that result as a result of something that perhaps happened in your life, and you lack the capacity as a human being to regulate it. Now that's where I'm saying I'm distressed, I'm overwhelmed, because my capacity to normally handle it exceeds me. So in those circumstances, then we need something that so by coping mechanisms, we talk about strategies that helps reduce this distress and helps you to be functional in your day-to-day and show up the normal way that you would. So the lack of showing up and the capacity or lack of those strategies is what results in us saying, I'm not coping, or I don't have coping mechanisms because something has happened. And now that trigger, something that has happened, is an activating event in your life, being a loss, being a job loss, being a death of a loved one, being a fact that my child is disrespecting me and I feel like I don't have it, being it a marital problem, being it a heartbreak. It could be a lot of those. So in that way, I'm unable, I don't have the capacity within myself to regulate these things or show up the normal or the functional. Let's discard normal or and abnormal, healthy or functional and dysfunctional. So I don't have the capacity to show up or live my life in a functional way. Hence, I may employ unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Okay. So what are some of the differences? So maybe to bring it back home, when we talk about coping mechanisms, healthy and unhealthy, what are some of the examples of that? What is it that some people do in order to deal with situations?
So healthy, those are functional ways that helps you, and unhealthy, those are dysfunctional ways. So healthy ones, you see people doing exercises, and it must vary. There must be a variety. There must be cognitive strategies that you employ, and there must be physical strategies that you employ, because this is a body, mind, soul thing. So in that way, now when we are healthy, we are employing those exercises, eating well, sleeping well, balanced diet, and all those, and talking, venting, not avoiding, because hence we are saying for you to even apply a coping mechanism, whether it's unhealthy or healthy, something would have happened. So what am I doing about something that has happened? If it's especially, let's say it's a marital problem, a loss it's something that is big, because it's bigger than you can't control. It's outside the spectrum of your control. But then now, if it's this activating event, what is it? Let's unpack it. And if you see yourself avoiding it, then now you are applying an unhealthy coping mechanism or a dysfunctional one, because the problem will remain.
Yeah. So some people will say, if I take at least 2 shots of whiskey, or some people will say I go for a run, for instance, when I'm feeling stressed. Some people will say I just take some time off. I don't want to talk with anyone. Those are the things that help me cope. So how do we then know what is healthy and what is not healthy? Are there other people out there that are employing some coping mechanism strategies that may be unhealthy, and what are the examples of those in particular?
And I love the question, Clement, because it's a very subjective matter, this one. I might think employing a healthy one, get a number, 2 shots of whatever. But when your body has an alarm. Your body will tell you, or your body will tell you. So one way or another, you'll know and renege against that realization. Number 2, we've got support system and people. They will tell us to say, and I discard whatever that's saying. The third one, if your shots or your alcohol, as you drink it, it's now costing you, and a lot of money is now hitting you in the pocket. Those are the ways that shows that you are applying a coping mechanism that is not effective for your finances. It might be effective for that time in point at that moment to help you forget. And as a professional, I would ask, forgetting, does it take it away? So of course, when you find yourself saying, I want to forget, then you are already applying an unhealthy coping mechanism, because you are forgetting. But does it take the problem away? And let's get into this forgetfulness that you want to apply. Do you want to be nonchalant and feel like this thing didn't happen? Then we are not addressing it. We are avoiding. It's an avoidance strategy. So in that way, it's unhealthy, unfortunately.
I mean, there are some people who often end up just talking to everyone about their issues, right? And they would argue that that's their coping mechanism. So if they've had a fight with their partner, or maybe they've had issues with someone else, so they go around talking about it with everybody else. Does that then become a coping mechanism of sorts? Like, is that healthy? Because there's some people who think, the more people I speak to, the better I start feeling about the situation that I'm facing. Is that something that is helpful along the way?
Let's look at, and you are right, people say that, but the bigger question then becomes, yes, it's a temporary relief. And some of us, you think when you've got something and you just want to temporarily release, you think it's okay. But as much as somebody say, yes, it's helping me, I would ask then to say, after telling those people, when does it harm? When is it coming back at you? Who did you tell? What was the benefit of telling them? How did it help you broader than just talking? Because yes, you would talk to people, but the reason we are here as professionals is to let's not just talk. It's not just about talk therapy. Let's employ strategies that are effective. And beyond just talking, you need to go sort the problem. Remember, we are saying we are coping. What are you coping from? Why do they need to go tell people everything? Are you addressing that thing with a particular person that is specific to this situation that could help you solve the situation? So yes, we are talking coping and healthy ways and unhealthy ways, but what we must understand that there's an activating event. Are we going to the root of the problem to address it over and above just addressing my emotions and how my behavioral or cognitive responses about what happened? So there are those two things that we must address before addressing how I am feeling and checking in with myself and my feeling. I must first go to the activating event. What is it? What am I doing about it? Who can help me deal with this thing? Are they helping me in a progressive way, or is it regressing because I'm just talking and tell everyone, therefore creating more problems for myself because now my things are known all over and these people are not even helping me? After that, and then we go back to say, how is this affecting you and how can we then deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, there's toxic positivity as well, Kefule, something that comes to my mind where some people, their way of coping is, because let's be honest, there are cultural and religious beliefs sometimes that impact how people choose to cope. So you're facing a situation and you just think, oh, I'll just pray about it. But you're not really doing anything to try and change that situation because you believe that in whatever religion you believe in, that somehow there's a miracle that will happen. And of course, miracles do happen depending on whatever you believe. But sometimes there's something that just requires you to do certain things to resolve the situation, but you don't do it. And you just say, well, I've prayed about it. And I'm just thinking, to what extent does toxic positivity become a problem and become unhealthy even in our coping mechanisms?
And so one thing that I do in my practice when I see a person, it's to say, how do you normally filter things? For example, we'll take the approach of cognitive behavioral therapy to say, when somebody, what is your cognitive saying or your mind saying about this activating event that has happened? So, and then that leads to cognitive distortions that we might pick up on the way. And when we're talking about toxic positivity, it could be the thing to say, am I minimizing, am I generalizing, what is the cognitive distortion that I'm applying? Am I thinking this will go away? So we need to get into one's level of self-awareness and themselves, understanding of themselves, to say, my normal or general way or usual way of dealing with things, is it normal? Is it functional? Is it dysfunctional rather? More than that, we are not just, we are going to go back and look at it from the way, from a theoretical point of view, to say, let's look at this cognitive distortion. And I remember, I'm only limited to my knowledge. I'm subjective in that way. So we need to expand and push a little bit of objectivity and facts around whatever that you're applying, to say, yes, we've prayed, but what have you done about it? I'm not minimizing that you're so right, but let's go solve the problem, because praying about it alone helps you. But does it help the situation and the environment and the people that this thing also involves? And one would say, but I've lived in the hands of God. God will deal with it. And then we expand even more on that to say, I hear you. And then I keep pushing the parameter on that, so that you really get to hear me beyond hearing me, hear me to where I am. So we need to push it to that level and employ other strategies and skills as professionals to really help this person get to the level of self-awareness and how their mind normally works and applies things, whether it's overgeneralizing or minimizing, and how filters work. So on that, it's an individualized model that we apply to really unpack this toxic and all that cognitive distortions.
Yeah, and of course, some people are sharing how they respond, and there are many unhealthy coping mechanisms. I mean, substance abuse, as Kefule said, you must also judge your mechanisms with the return on that investment. So when you are drinking a lot, does it really resolves and completely eliminates that situation? Or are you actually building another problem on the other side? So there are a few people talking about substance abuse and how that's what they go to try and deal with situation. The issue of avoidance, overreacting or underreacting. Self-harm is another one that often comes up. Excessive screen time. I mean, this one, Kefile, some people feel, when I'm spending a lot of time on the screen and I'm just binge watching something the whole day because I'm dealing with my grief or I'm dealing with this disappointment, this feeling of disappointment, that often helps me just cope with my situation. Some people overwork, in fact, as a coping mechanism, or they isolate themselves. So does that help, or could that work for other people where I just want to isolate themselves, or I just want to overwork, or I just want to excessively binge watch something because that's going to help me? It just helps me cope.
Temporarily, yes, it may. However, on the long run, what then does it help? Probably now it steals your time. Little do you know that I was trying to avoid a loss of coming to an empty home when I've lost my spouse. But now, years later, I don't even know what self-care is. I don't even know what sleeping healthy means because I'm waking until 11 o'clock. So some of the things, honestly, is they are good for that, could help for that point in time, but over time, it's a problem. And then we must also be so critical on that, conscious of, especially when we are going to say temporary and longevity, to say there must be a very heightened level of consciousness so that I'm able to see when I'm saying, can I just be on TikTok? And then you just be there. And sometimes I even say, even plan to be on that TikTok. When you're going to distract, do it consciously so that you know how to, you know how far you go. You know, you can even limit yourself. So the level in that one, I would now suggest to listeners to say, let's be a little more conscious, because you don't want it an intended habit to also form because of a result of a temporary strategy that I try to employ. Now it's now contemporary.
Yeah.
Or it's coming at the expense of many other things.
Yes. 011-883-0702. That's the number to dial. I'd like to hear from you and your experiences now. How do you cope with just situations in life? I mean, life is always going to throw things at us. And sometimes our threshold, like there are certain things that just go beyond the threshold that we have. How do you deal with that? I mean, I can imagine if you've lost a loved one and you're engulfed in grief and you are in pain, you want to find a way, a system, a mechanism of sorts that can help you lessen that pain, right? How do you do that? Because sometimes you can just feel that this pain is just too much. This pain of disappointment, this pain of just not succeeding with perhaps even finding a job, this pain of not succeeding with trying to resolve the challenges in my marriage. What do you get to try and resolve that, to try and lessen the pain, to try and cope with that pain? And yes, there are other people that do negative self-talk because for some reason that just helps them, I don't know, cope in some way, as weird as it may sound. But there are some people who use that negative self-talk. There are people who isolate themselves. There are people who are excessive gamblers. Some of us overwork to try and resolve or cope with certain situations. Or we procrastinate. Or there's excessive screen time, self-harm. Or maybe you just avoid situations. You don't want to deal with certain things because that just helps you cope with that issue. And of course, there's a lot that people do in as far as substance abuse is concerned, where they'll argue, well, that's what's helping me deal with this pain that I'm confronted with. So what's that pain for you that you are confronted with? How are you dealing with it? Have you found healthy coping mechanisms? Or maybe you are still engaged in unhealthy coping mechanisms and you need some assistance to tap out of that. Maybe you can call, give us what your scenario looks like, and maybe Kifile can share some advice with you. 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. I'll take your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. It's going up to 11:30. Zingiswa has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Now, Jaden Lee Meek's mother will return before the Rotoport Magistrate Court on Friday for a formal bail application. Tiffany Meek made her first court appearance this morning for the alleged murder of her 11-year-old son. The National Prosecuting Authority has run into another setback at the Gqeberha High Court as it moves to appeal the acquittal of controversial pastor Timothy Omotosho. Omotosho's defense team has this morning dismissed the state's bid for clarification, calling it a fishing expedition and legally unsound. The MPA has applied for clarification around Omotosho's acquittal as it prepares to approach the Supreme Court of Appeal. And clashes between military groups and tribes have left at least 30 people dead in the Syrian city of Sudia. According to state media, more than 100 people have also been injured. It's understood the violence erupted after a wave of kidnappings, including the abduction of a Druze merchant on Friday. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 12 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traffic remains heavily backed up on the N1 North between Malibongwe Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive. That's due to roadworks taking place along this route. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. More roadworks are causing delays on the M1 North towards Marlborough Drive. Please approach with care there as well. And if you're traveling along the M2 West towards Main Reef Road, do expect some delays as well as in the Mayfair area along Park Drive, Crownwood Road, as well as Production Road. Traveling in the city of Tshwane, we've got a slight backup along the N1 South due to more roadworks taking place along this route approaching the Flying Saucer interchange. I am Amo Ramela, and that's your last traffic update from me. Otherwise, Karabujali will have your next traffic update. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Sell your car now and get paid instantly. There's no waiting when it comes to We Buy Cars. Simply complete the online form on webuycars.co.za to get started. Looking for your next ride? Well, explore thousands of vehicles with finance and all the extras available online and in store. Whether buying or selling, We Buy Cars has what you need.
Mom, Dad, you're not gonna believe this.
What's up, bud?
Luke's family has a kitchen.
Okay.
Like a real one, with knives and a sink for dishes. His mom was just standing there, making food with her hands. There was a fridge full of vegetables, even broccoli.
Not broccoli.
Oh, the horror. Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
With 9 branches throughout Gauteng, Chamberlain is famous for superb value since 1903. Join us from 17 July to 3 August for our famous for superb value promotion, packed with unbeatable deals on everything you need to make your next DIY dream come true. Experience our new Montana Megastore, now bigger, better, and jam-packed, full of Chamber Value brand products. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
It's your last chance to win with the Checkers XXL Jackpot competition. Plus, save on deals like Coca-Cola Original Tasteless Sugar Cold Drink 2 litres, 2 for 45 Rand. And Nivea Body Lotion or Cream Selected Variants, 400 mils for 56.99. Remember, simply buy any 3 participating products, swipe your extra savings card and get a scratch card to enter the competition. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
702 was in conversation with Momentum on The Money Show with Stephen Grootes, discussing why context matters in financial advice.
As people go through different phases and stages in their lives, new dreams and goals come to the fore. When you get married, have children, you get divorced, want to immigrate, have to care for your parents, are nearing retirement or just change jobs, all of these things have a significant impact on your financial plan that require the help of a respected financial advisor to guide you through the changes. From an investment perspective, we also believe that financial advisors play a key role in managing their clients' emotions and investing behavior. A key ingredient in investment success is the ability to remain calm when others are panicking, to remain invested when others are disinvesting or moving their money to safer asset classes only to reinvest when it's too late, and then they destroy value in the process.
Visit momentum.co.za for more info. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
702.
Family Matters.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock on our Family Matters feature this morning, we've been talking with Kefulo Mojapi, who's a social worker, psychosocial well-being and employee wellness practitioner. We've been talking about just coping mechanisms, healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms. Do you know if yours is healthy? Do you know if it's unhealthy? Maybe you have been engaging in unhealthy mechanisms, or they started healthy and they turned out to be unhealthy. What's your experience? How do you deal with the things that pain you? 011-883-0702. Let's start with Mpo in the East End. Mpo, good morning.
Yes, morning, Clem.
Sure, man. How do you cope?
Yeah, Clem, I have two issues here. First, I'm glad that you raised the issue of prayer as the only coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Because in my line of work, I work with different communities, and I see here in the townships especially how a lot of our mothers tend to throw everything, towards their faith. And whenever I get a chance, I say, yeah, that's all good, but now it's like just addressing the symptom, and you're not, taking practical steps to deal with the source of that pain that you're experiencing. And again, we always say that men need to speak up and stuff. And I just wanted to ask you, just if there's a way of checking in their profession how competitive some of them are, because I've been in a couple of instances where I've recommended therapy, and then I was told, oh yeah, I tried that, but it didn't work. I know it also goes with the willingness of the person. But are we sure that we have professionals who are really good at what they do, or is it just a matter of shopping around and stuff?
And shopping around can also get exhausting at some point.
Can get exhausting.
Because starting those therapists, starting with a new therapist again, you must give them context. But also I do find that sometimes people just, easily say, oh, I've tried it, it didn't work, because they went to one therapist and they just didn't gel. And that becomes now the cop-out.
Yes, and remember, in townships, mostly our people cannot afford to go private. So they all rely on our state social workers and other therapists. But I guess that's subjective as to how good one can be in helping you. But yeah, personally, I just I'm also a runner, not as good as you though. But I just found exercising, just running on the road, me and the road, with my thoughts and stuff. It helped me a great deal when I was going through a tough time.
Yeah. No, me too, Mpo. And I'm far from being a good runner, by the way. I'm just a normal social runner. But running for me, that's it. When I am in a stressful situation, I normally run, and that normally just helps me clear up. Some people are speaking about sex as a coping mechanism. Maybe if you want to weigh in on what Mpo just said, and then also the question around sex, can that also be used as a coping mechanism, and at what point does it become unhealthy? And then I'll take some more calls.
So the response to Mpoy is correct, because we are people, we are different, and we gel with others, we don't gel with others. Secondary to that as well, some of us are in this profession because we want money. It's not the matter of giving to people, and it's not emanating from, or it's not purpose driven. So definitely it's that. And another thing, again, it could be that with the relationship between a therapist and a client, could be that I pushed it at the level that you didn't want me to go to, and then now you are being subjective and saying, I'm a bad. But anyway, in this instant, the client is always right. You'll just say another thing. One of the approaches that we all use different approaches as therapists. I might be using cognitive behavior therapy or existentialism, which Mpo might not like. So it's also okay to shop around instead of just giving up after one or two therapists, because we are understanding it's professionalism. It's a point of why are you doing what you're doing, and then the third one, personality and how we click, and and then a second one, can sex be a coping mechanism? It can be, and yes, definitely it can be. The reason I'm thinking about it from myself point of view to say, to what degree does it? But definitely it could be. But then the question becomes, when does it not? Then when can it be dysfunctional for you? Number one, between me and my partner, definitely I use him as that, and if I'm stressed. But now, are you using different partners in that. So it could be sex, but is it healthy sex? Is it between you and your spouse? Is it between different people? Where does your coping come? Is it better if I get it from different people? So then in that way, I would say now maybe it's not functional for you because now it's costing me my relationship, or now it becomes a habit because I want it every day. I'm unable to apply other coping mechanisms.
And sometimes you think we're fighting with my person, then that becomes a solution. Let's just do this to get the steam off, but you're not actually dealing with the core issues and the issues that are bringing about those challenges, and you think sex somehow becomes the fixer, so to speak. Langelihle, you are calling us from Tembisa. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to put in my 2 cents. Last year I got retrenched, and I've been marketing for a job ever since, and things are only getting tougher because now I also have like a newborn. So yeah, I've got a 3-year-old and a newborn, so it's like stressful because you keep on sending the emails or doing drop-offs, like we'll drop off the CV, and then still nothing happens, and then sometimes you just get so frustrated, then you don't know what to do, and, you can't go anywhere because I've got kids and I have to look after my kids. And currently me and my partner, like we're unemployed currently. So yeah, things are a little bit hard, but then I know that I'll get there somewhere because, it's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how many times you get up.
Absolutely. And I love that attitude, Langelihle. Love it. But also, I think it's helpful. It helps for us to be aware of the unhealthy coping mechanisms, because at least you know that there's something wrong happening, and there's an opportunity there to change it and find other ways. Tembinkosi, you're in Alberton. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
Sure, man. How are you?
Good, thank you, my man. I think maybe with regards to the topic, I've got a different way to try and cope with stressful situations and all of that. I actually play PS5, mostly FIFA, to try and cope, because that's how I try and regain control. In a sense that in the real world, everything else is out of my control, but in the metaverse, I'm in control of everything. So that's how I center and reground myself in terms of trying to get back to normality, if I can put it like that. So in the past, I've tried things like drinking, smoking, and all of that. And all of that, all it does, it builds dependency on substances until I found something I enjoy, which I later realized actually also helps me as well.
Yeah. Do you also play Tekken on your PS5, huh? Timinkosin?
No, not
Not
Tekken
that.
anymore.
Okay.
I used to play Mortal Kombat until I started playing with somebody that had a book for the finishing.
I was about to challenge you, because I'm quite the king when it comes to Tekken. That's how good I am. Teminkosini in Alberton, thank you for your contribution. Okay, let's go to some of the messages that have come through now. Amanda says, hi Clement, please can you ask your guest, how do we help a family member who has unhealthy coping habits that are linked to health issues? He had a brain injury after an accident that he had over 15 years ago. He understands that he has a problem, but he never sticks to solutions. Instead, he implements them for a few weeks and then goes back to the old habits. Kifile?
So one would say, who does the person stay with, and who reminds them now and then continuously to say, are you busy? Checking in with that person, basically, to say, what are you doing? And providing, not just checking in also only, but providing motivation to say, you're good, keep on doing it, and pushing them from the behind. So it would be nice to have that, because sometimes we tell people to do things and we leave them after that. And that's what now causes all these inconsistencies.
And then another one says, hi Clement, I just sleep it away. That's a message from Gabi. Says when they're facing tough challenges, they just slip it away. Another one says, Clement, my coping mechanism is being outdoors in nature, hiking, running, bird watching, at nature reserves. It's become my medicine. I've experienced all sorts of losses, and this is the only method which got me to a balanced equilibrium. I've cancelled gym membership, and I also did an inventory of people who are wells and drains in my life and reassigned them accordingly. Lovely. I love that. What an interesting process. Here's a WhatsApp voice note that's also come through.
Good morning, Clement and Tim. Great topic. So to my side, always when stressed up, for me to come back to normal, I have to go to gym. So sometimes I can gym for a week. Then I feel much better. Yeah, this is running back.
Yeah. So many people have their own ways. Kefile, anything else you want to say to responding to what's been raised so far?
So I think the other WhatsApp voice note message rather expanded more on what I wanted to say we need a myriad of coping mechanisms, not just one but many. So in my practice, I normally ask a client to say, please give me 5 and different degrees of things that you would do. So I know when I run as well, I become okay. But then after running, what do I do? What are other self-care strategies? I normally ask them to say, what would you do that you feel like would hug your soul? So what are those things that after running, you've been physical, you took it out. So what am I going at dimensions of wellness to say there's physical, there's social, there's see people, talk to people, there's social, there's intellectual, read something, go on podcast, psychological as well, emotion. So we need to attend to all these dimensions of wellness while we are employing our coping mechanisms, because today I would feel like, it's raining, I can't run. Then what does it mean? Will I run on the storm or what? So we need a number, 5 minimum, at least more, and that is different degrees. If I feel like running, I know running is my last, and then sharp, and then after that, come back home, make yourself a beautiful meal that feels like I'm hugging my soul. So apply many.
Can I have malva pudding and custard all the time, make you stressed? As a coping mechanism.
No.
I'm trying to justify my own unhealthy coping mechanism.
But when I know you'll run it away and get rid of the calories that you've had gained. Mara, no.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, sometimes I do run and then I come back and I always think, how do I reward myself? And honestly, what keeps me on the road sometimes when I'm running, especially long distance, or I'm doing a speed run because I'm chasing time, I always think about the reward. When you get home, you're going to have this. And yes, it's unhealthy because it's too sweet and you had it 2 days ago, but it's okay. You're rewarding yourself. So that's an unhealthy way I'm dealing with it that I need to manage. 13 minutes before 12 o'clock. More of your calls and WhatsApps after this.
Calling all football fans. Score goals galore with Hollywood bets in a super football showdown. The finest clubs in the world will go head-to-head to be crowned the best of the best. Ready for your chance to strike it big? Get in on the thrilling action and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash or betting vouchers. Bet 10 Rand or more on any club World Cup fixture between June and July 2025. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Corporates that care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring Bata. Their country manager, Lorraine Dyer, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration from eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions. We sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Pellman, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
702.
Family Matters.
10 minutes before 12 o'clock, we are wrapping up the conversation we're having this morning on our Family Matters feature with Kefilo Mojapelo around healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms. There's a question here, Kefilo, about how do we get men to use talking as a coping mechanism? How can we challenge a stigma around seeking help for emotional struggles in our communities, especially among other men? Because there are so many men out there who end up considering suicide because they just feel like there is no coping mechanism that can help them deal with their issues. And when you tell them about talking, then that's something that they've also not been socialized to prioritize as a coping mechanism.
Oh, exactly. So in my practice, I also use communication cards. So normally I would give couples to say, go talk, or give the wife to go, or give the woman to go speak more with the partner, but without necessarily be too direct about it. You become strategic about it. To say, if you're going, one of them would be in the situation that you're experiencing, how can I be more of a support to you? Then in that way, you are asking an indirect question, and you are now even making it about them more than making it a complaint or as if you are blaming or anything. So in that ways, I feel like those tools and techniques, that's what we need to bring. I see it's helping.
Yeah, because there are men out there who will not even consider the possibility of seeing a therapist because they're just thinking, what conversation am I gonna have with someone else? And perhaps for those, Kefilo, who are listening to us and they've never really spoken about their issues. And I get this a lot when we do, for instance, the healing hour, where you get men who call in and say, Clement, I've never shared this with anyone. And the first time they're sharing it is on the radio with you when you are doing healing hour because they've been touched in some way. And sometimes some of the things that they share are so deep where I think, my goodness, how have you survived? How have you carried so much pain for so long? And now at the age of 50 or at the age of 45, you are calling a radio station and this is the first time you're talking about it. So for men who are listening who still don't know how to talk about their issues, what advice do you have for them? Who do they start with? Where can they begin so that they also start seeing the benefits of talking?
Many ways, Clement. One would be, so of course, therapy, but some of us don't have access to it. Podcasts, listen to things, strategies that people employ. There are many therapists or other people, coaches online, pastors, being also intentional about creating a support structure of friendships that you'd know, for this one, I'm going to go to Kifil, I'm going to go to TCS, I'm going to go to Clement. Have those to-go people that you know with this critical issue, because it doesn't just happen over time. I need to go to a person, to my friend, this is where I am. So and those could be, and yeah, so I would say that even when you go for socials or you want to go drink, or have that to-go person that you know, or you sit and talk. After talking, let's have that whiskey, my guy. But having addressed the issue and having vented at least.
Yes. And then another message here says, Clement, research has shown that singing has positive therapeutic effects on people. I've been singing basically since I could speak, and I would agree with the above mentioned research. That's a message from Chad in the Johannesburg South. Another message says, hi Clement and your guest, I've been in a relationship for almost 3 years now, and I've noticed that my partner tends to avoid conflict at all costs. While I understand the desire to avoid confrontation, this often leaves us with no space to communicate our issues or find common ground, which is very painful for me. When challenges arise, she tends to shut down and at times even breaks up with me as a way to resolve things. I've suggested seeing a therapist to work through these issues, but she doesn't believe it would help. I'm struggling to break this cycle and create healthier communication in our relationship. Any advice? Yes, Kifila?
It's sad because it's hard to help somebody who's not seeking for help. But I would take it, it's deep, and unresolved issues carry a lot of weight because sometimes things erupt. We are putting many things under the carpet. So it's sad that some people don't think going to somebody will help. I even have people saying, I've tried speaking to my partner, but they say, whatever that we didn't manage to resolve, what will another person do? Some of it becomes sort of, no, you are listening to Kifili, but you fail to listen to me. So we are dealing with a lot of things, and we can only help those who want help, unfortunately, and who go seek out and stand up to say, I need help.
Yeah. Here's another voice.
And also exposure and experience. Say, what have I been used to that has now become a habit and a norm that I think helps me? And experience as well. I'm not used to those things. Comfort and familiarity to say, I'd rather not go because it's uncomfortable and I don't want to speak to anyone. I'll be judged. I'll be this, I'll be that. Guys, I don't know if I was a judge. I don't know. I don't even have a fiber in my being to go judge. I don't even remember sitting with my partner gossiping about Clement to say he came, It's not the place for that. Therapy is that really confidentiality space that we really talk in confidence. Whew.
Yeah. Here's the last WhatsApp voice note.
Clement, when I used to have serious financial problems, financial stress and raising kids alone, I would always buy, the custard in the packet, the one that you make at home, and jelly also. And you'll always, they'll always be in my house, those things. And when I feel stressed because of finances, I would make custard and jelly with my kids and would enjoy. That would soothe my spirit.
Oh, wow.
It would be very happy.
That's
Asanda
amazing.
from Brooklyn.
Oh, wow, Asanda. That's quite incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Kifilo Mojapele, thank you for guiding us through such an important conversation. She's a social worker, psychosocial well-being, and employee wellness practitioner. It's 3 minutes now before 12.
Medical aid plans, they're normally like this.
So, you'll need to take this form and this. So don't forget this too. Okay, wait. Don't forget this one. Wait. Okay, done.
My back!
Sorry, sir. That's gonna have to come out of your savings.
At Bonitas, we make our plans simple, so they're easy to understand. We also offer a benefit booster and a range of other benefits that don't come off your savings. Visit bonitas.co.za when you need us. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. T's and C's apply.
And they're off. Little too young, barely two, racing injured. Here comes whipped into shape, running on pain. Duct tape dreams on the outside, tongue-tied and terrified. And now discarded glory, limping to avoid the glue truck. It's beaten again, crop flying, lungs bleeding, and it's doped up glory, gets it by a nose. Now that's racing.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct. Show your support at nspca.co.za/rein in the pain.
PG Glass Repair, PG Glass Replace.
Hi, I'm Komoto, PG Glass Technician. At PG Glass, we keep your windscreen chip-free and crystal clear.
Choose PG Glass, quality you can trust. Visit pg.co.za.
Coming up
on the Midday Report.
Coming up next is the Midday Report with Sidi Madia. How are you doing?
Still standing.
You get Employee of the Month.
Can you say that
went
louder?
to Mpumalanga.
Say it louder.
Well,
say it louder.
Is your boss
so Jonathan
listening?
Proctor can actually hear you.
You went to Mpumalanga to cover the funeral yesterday, drove back to do a special show last night, and woke up this morning to speak to Bongani
Bingwa.
and then went back probably to
I have
sleep
a
for 2
politics
minutes.
team still that I still
to manage, and then you have to be here to do the show. Employee of the
Can
Month.
I get my tulips and my money? Can we bump up my salary?
What's coming up today on the Midday
I
Report?
think we're all dealing with the same story, really. The president's way forward as far as the policing crisis is concerned. So we'll look at that. We'll go to Kabeja, where the NP is trying to appeal its matter, the Timothy Omotosho matter. But also the NC spoken about the president's statements, and of course we'll speak to them about the fate of the minister as far as his political activities are concerned. Do they also expect him to halt activity? So we'll find out. We'll also, of course, speak about We'll also speak about, excuse me.
It's okay. If you forget, we'll forgive you.
It's been a long day. We'll also speak to the Mkotos, is a party that's marching in the streets of Gauteng in defense of General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. That's what I wanted to say.
That's what's coming up on the Midday Report with the hardworking Tsidi Madia. Thank you for listening to the Clement Manyathela Show. Let's chat again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Zingisa Chirwa. Gauteng police say they have not ruled out the possibility of more arrests in the murder case of 11-year-old Jaden Lee Meek. This follows the arrest of the child's mother last week in connection with his death. Tiffany Nicole Meek made her first appearance in the Roodepoort Magistrate Court today. Jaden's body was found outside his family home in Vleerhof less than 2 months ago. It came hours after his mother reported him missing, claiming the child had failed to return home from school. The matter has been postponed to Friday for a formal bail application. National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Pindi Mchunu says Tiffany Meek faces multiple charges.
As the prosecution, we follow the evidence. So as and when evidence points to the fact that there were more people who were allegedly involved, then the necessary action will be taken. Once that that information is brought to court, then the prosecution will be in a good position to decide on what.
The National Prosecuting Authority has run into another setback at the Gqeberha High Court as it moves to appeal the acquittal of controversial